Hey guys, 2 seconds. Boy, listen. It's been a mad day, bro. It's been a mad day. But listen, we're back. We're back. Okay, guys. Hello, welcome back to the Deep Dive Fridays. This is where we get to talk to you guys about something deep and of a topic relationship-wise. And today we've decided to choose: should you have a work wife or husband? Should you have a work wife or husband? This is one of those conversations that are gonna get a little bit tricky, a little bit hot, a little bit tasty. Many people are going to have their own opinions, which is great. We want to see that. We want to hear your different viewpoints. Guys, do me a favor. For those of us who are in a chat at the moment, do me one favor. If you're new to this channel, like, share, and subscribe. If you are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Listen, the note's a bit crackly. My voice is still a little bit chattily. You know what I'm saying? Let me stay hydrated, though. Listen, guys, grab your bottles, Grab your bottles. Stay hydrated. Because the streets are hot, okay? The streets are hot. All right, cool. So, we're talking about, should you have a work wife? Are you allowed to have a work wife, okay, or work husband? So, what I'm going to do is probably just give you, first of all, one definition of what a work wife or husband is. What is a work wife or work husband is. So one of the definitions, I'm going to put it on the screen for you guys as well so you can see it. And then we're going to get the conversation flowing. If you want to join tonight, if you want to be involved in the conversation, then please do this thing for us where you jump on board, hit me up in the email. We want to have you on tonight. We want to have a good conversation, good discussion with you guys tonight. Someone said the short answer is no. Okay. All right, cool. Neon said I look better. I look better without the glasses. Hey. Listen, I need a trim right now, cuz. Forget about the glasses. Man needs a trim right now. Okay. Latoya says, I don't believe in having a work wife or husband. Why can't you just be my co-worker who I get along with? I feel like it's inappropriate, especially at work. People need to have boundaries. Okay. I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, Tragicus says, yes, that's why you either work together and treat someone like a human being. Okay. Someone said, what are the rules of work wife, work husband? I mean, to be honest, it depends. It depends, It depends on what rules you want to put into play. But we're gonna break all that stuff down because we're gonna give you guys definition first of all, and then we're gonna also as well put some kind of specifications of what a work wife is. What is a work wife? A work husband? Okay, let's give you guys a quick definition, and let's start the conversation from here. Okay. So we've got a definition here. A work spouse has been defined as a special, platonic friendship with a work colleague characterized by a close emotional bond, high levels of disclosure and support, and mutual trust, honesty, and loyalty. Okay? Honesty. Okay? So these are some of the definitions, I guess, of a work wife, work husband. Okay, it's quite interesting. I think the definition they've given there. I don't think if you go by that definition, I don't think you can see anything wrong with that. If you go by that definition, if you go by this particular definition, can you say there's anything wrong with that? Can you see anything that was inappropriate about that? I think if you go by that definition, you're pretty good. Right? I think you're living large if you have this definition. So yeah, I don't particularly see a problem with work wife, work husband with this particular definition. Emil Robertson said, How about we co-workers, colleagues who get along well and try to have each other's back, but there need to be boundaries with these relationships. Okay, I hear you. AW says, hey, I've been a work wife, no issues. Okay, I hear you. Listen, tonight we want to hear what you guys got to say. We want you to come aboard. We want you to come and, share your views. What is a work wife, work husband? And have you ever been one? Have you ever been with a partner who had one? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the questions we want to ask. I mean, have you ever been one? Have you ever seen someone who's been a work wife, work husband? Are they inappropriate? Work wife, work husbands. We're trying to answer some of these questions tonight. We're going to give people a little bit of time to jump in, and then we're going to try and get the conversation flowing from there. Farine Chigo says, definitely no. The platonic friendship turns into flirting, then the boundaries get blurred, which leads to questionable actions. Ooh. Stay hydrated because the streets are hot. Ooh. Okay, so she says obviously it turns into something else. Okay. Fiona says also I think the danger comes in with the amount of time we spend with these people. Good question. Good thing as well. Yeah. My volunteer husband makes everything better. Not inappropriate, just appreciative and supportive. Okay, let's ask this first question. And audience, you can get involved as well. Even if you're not on the show, we can get you guys involved. Okay, we're going to say, what is your definition, okay, of, if I spell that correctly, what's your definition of a work husband or wife? I want to hear you guys in the chat. What is you guys' definition of work wife or work husband? I want it in the comment section. Let us know down below in the comment section. We'll get the conversation flowing probably about half an hour mark. We'll get some people on board as well. But we want to know, what is your definition of a work husband? What is your definition? Let us know what your definition is. Do you have a different definition to what we just put on the screen? How do you view this particular conversation and this particular topic? What is a work wife? What is a work husband? All right. I'm just going to do some quick analysis with guys. Let's see. Let's get this on. Let's go. Work husband and work wife. Okay, cool. Let's see what people are saying. Okay. We have Brown Beauty, who says work husband / work wife is purely down to the lack of integrity and boundaries of the one in relationship. Oh, isn't that a bit harsh, isn't it? Is that a bit harsh? Is that a bit heavy? Brown Beauty, she says work husband wife is purely down to the lack of integrity and boundaries of the one in the relationship. Okay. I mean, I can't shoot it. I mean, that's the viewpoint that she's come with. Okay, cool. Anybody else want to add in terms of their viewpoints, in terms of what is a work husband or work wife? What is their views to that? What is a work husband and work wife? Your faves and things says just that, a boyfriend at work, period. Okay. Life of Bodge says, would your partner be happy if you shared all elements of your work husband-wife relationship? That's what you should be concerned about. Wait. That's what I'm gonna say. Wait. When you start asking that, that's a good question. That's a good contribution there. Would your partner be happy with the disclosure? I like that. I'm going to add that to the list of your ins and outs of work husband and wife. Okay. I like that. Okay. Your face and thing says, I'm not calling somebody husband for no reason. Okay. I hear that. AW says, Close platonic relationship, you gel well on work issues, discusses personal issues, maintain boundaries. Okay. Totally hear that. Totally hear that. Neon says, someone who share every major milestone with in regards to your career. They'll listen to you talk about other co-workers, the boss, etc. Things your significant other wouldn't quite understand. Oh, okay. I like that though. That's a good point there. Would your partner understand all the work stuff you want to discuss? That is a good point. That's a good point. I like that. I did. David says, co-worker who you share more intimate things with, not necessarily relationship, but personal stuff in your life you don't share with others. Another good definition. Okay, cool. I like that. I like that definition David's put there. Farene's also saying she concurs as well. So they're concurring with co-worker who share more intimate things with, not necessarily relationship, but personal stuff in your life. Okay, I like that. Question I'm going to ask is, would it be a violation to share information about your relationship? Okay, I like some of the questions here. Brown Beauty says, a work husband and wife relationship facilitates lack of communication, vulnerability, and trust in actual relationship. Oh, okay, Brown Beauty's coming with the different points, baby. Okay, Brown Beauty say, listen, it's a problem. It's a problem for Brown Beauty. Okay, I'm hearing you. Drewsy G says, I had a work husband. We called him that merely because we shared an office and spent most of our waking hours together. Nothing more. Okay. Adam Rose said, y'all messy. I don't think we're messy, are we? Are we messy? Fiona KP Rocks Kip Prop says, is it only official with the title? You asked if people have been one. Many people have probably been in one just without labeling it. We're coming to that. You're absolutely right, Fiona. Absolutely right, Fiona. Good point there. Good point. A lot of people have been one and not even realize they are actually a work wife or husband. So good point there. Good point. Emil Robinson says, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. Oh, okay. Rachel Wangezi says, I don't agree with work husbands. We are hired to get work done, not to flirt. I don't take people with work husbands seriously. Okay, so this is a good point. So do people... Let me ask this question, okay? Let me ask this question. When you hear work husband / wife, do you automatically believe people are flirting? And this is a good question. Number 2, to the audience, guys. Okay? Question number 2. When you hear work husband, work wife, do you... Oh, my spelling there. Hold on a minute. I put 2. Do you automatically believe people are flirting? Let me ask that question to you guys out there as well. If do you hear the title work husband, work wife, and do you believe people are flirting automatically? Okay, let's have some questions here. Answers. Sometimes you need an opposite sex view on a personal issue, and just be someone with making it work husband according to that definition. I'm hearing you, David. David, you know what? Get up on here, bro. Why are you being quiet? Come up on here. Life of Bodge, get up on here. Let me even at you guys. You guys are here adding spice to the conversation. Come on stage, man. You guys are here. You're up on this thing and you're not even coming on stage, cause you understand? Yeah, let me get you guys on the stage, man. Life of Bodge, let me get him on the stage as well. Come on stage. Out here chatting in the background and chatting breeze. Joel Edwards says, oops, just realized the title said if you are in a relationship, then it's not a good idea. So if you're in a relationship, it makes it different, right? You are using bricks that are supposed to build your house somewhere else, the structure will suffer. Ooh, bars. Okay. GD Loves Me 316 said, the title husband only goes to my husband. I will never give someone the honor of being called my husband unless they are the one God has called to cover me. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Just a quick reminder about what we're answering now at the moment. This is question 2 now. When you hear work husband, work wife, do you automatically believe people are flirting? Give us your answers in the comment section. Let's have a real good conversation about that. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what we're saying here. We've got Kojamilik. I don't think it's a good thing. Don't give the devil a foothold when relationships are vulnerable. It is an in if there's any level of attraction. Okay, so when relationships are vulnerable, it is an in if there's any level of attraction. Do you guys agree with that? It's a good point. I mean, is that a signal for people to get involved in relationships? Is that a signal for people to break into their bank and break into the relationship if if they have a work husband, work wife? Is that what's going to happen? Let us know, comment down below. You know what I'm saying? Get involved with the conversation. Life of Bod says, this all sounds like a recipe for disaster to me. People are seeking validation, trust, connections outside their relationship. Soon enough, you're fantasizing about doing stuff at work after hours. Hey, Charlie, are you exposing yourself? Is that what you're thinking about? Is that what you're thinking about, sir? Is that what you're thinking about, sir? When you're at work and you are looking for, is that what you're looking for? Validation, trusted connections outside a relationship? Is that what you're thinking about? Okay. Alan Rose 122 says no. Inappropriate, yes. AW says, I assume there's nothing inappropriate going on. Yes, in regards to our question. Coach Milik says, unless it's 99-year-old impotent male or female, it is flirting if there's any level of attraction. Okay, I'm hearing you. Yes. Matter. Your partner has a work wife. Okay, I like this. Another question we've got to add on today as well. I love that. GD Loves Me 316 says, not necessarily. I had co-workers who called themselves work husband, work wife. The work husband was gay. So if the work husband is gay, is that cool then? Is that okay now? GD Loves Me, is that cool now since he's gay? Life of Bodge says the ladies are flirting. Wow. Life of Bodge, is this what we're doing now, cuz? Yeah? Drizzy Jew says, depends on the vibe between the two individuals. I wouldn't automatically think they were flirting with each other. Okay. Maria says, hey Mineral Gang, just stopping by to let y'all know that I had a work husband one time, and one day he tried to kiss me. He was in a relationship since then, never again. Well, Maria, obviously, that one there, I don't know, that man, he's crazy. Okay, I wouldn't do that to you as a work colleague. All right, I wouldn't be lipsing you, all right, as a work colleague. I mean, I've thought about it, not you, Maria, but I've thought about it as a work husband. I've been a work husband before. And if it wasn't for Jesus, honestly, if it wasn't for Jesus, I'd have done more than kissing. I'm going to keep it 100% real. Had it not been for the Jesus and my reputation being on the line, when I was a work husband, I would have done husband things. Two shall have become one. I would have entered her and known her. It's that simple, bro. I'll be honest with you. You feel me? When I was in the office, let me say less. Fiona K-Prop says, nope, it's only mentioned and understood within smaller friend groups. Okay. David says, apart from your pastor or therapist, are you allowed to share your personal issues with another person, e.g. coach or the coach, or is it only those kind of people you should share with? Good question. Good question. Is it a violation? You know what I'm saying? Is it a violation? Hey, it's here, Rick, get on here. Rick, get on here now. Rick, get on here. Get on the live. You've been asking for a thing that you wanted. You know, uh, for F4Y. I know I should say something. I don't know what it forever. For you forever. I'm guessing F for you. F for you for. Oh man, I'm not even trying. Coach, you can be my work husband. Listen, I've retired from work husbandry because I'm not sure if I can be disciplined enough to be just a work husband. I might end up being your husband, and that's the problem. You see, people's minds go left very quickly. You see, it's the problem. All right, GD loves me says, no, it still isn't cool if he's gay. Given that he is, though, I know there's no attraction or flirting going on. It's still inappropriate and crosses boundaries. Okay. Some people already asked this question. Let's put this question into, I guess, into play. Should you share intimate details of your relationship with a work husband? Okay, those are gonna be it. Yeah. Okay, should you share intimate details of your relationship with a work husband? Oh, why am I just saying work husband? Work husband and work wife. Okay, should you be sharing that? Should you be sharing those intimate details? Okay. Nah, Drizzy. No, Drizzy, listen. I was talking about The Office. Not here, The Office. The Office, guys. The Office. This is not The Office. My YouTube is not The Office. This is not The Office. But yes, okay. Loyalty is a deal breaker for me in love and friendship if I can't trust you. Bye. Okay, I hear you. Question number 3 we're asking right now. Should you share intimate details of your relationship with a work husband, work wife? Should you share these details? Okay. Okay. You know, Light, we could use you on here as well, Light. It's good to see you again, Light. You know, we would love to hear your thoughts as well, Light. If we can get on here and share your thoughts. Yeah. This is just an opening round, guys. We're just having conversation. We haven't started any of the real deep conversation. We get people on board and get people talking, all right? So, yeah, should you be sharing details? You know, with a work husband or work wife? This is a real question. Should you be sharing these kind of intimate details? What is detail? What is intimate details? That's the question. Let me ask that question below. What is intimate details for you? What is intimate details down below? Guys, when we're answering the question, do me a favor. When we answer the question, just put the number attached to the question so that we know what question you're answering. So if it's number 3, should you share intimate details of your relationship with a work husband? Just put number 3 next to your answer so we know that you're answering question number 3. It just makes it a bit easier as we're reading it out as well. Should you share these intimate details with a partner? Should you do that? Yeah, let us know. Okay, let us know. Let us know in the house of the Lord. Hallelujah, joy in the house of the Lord. Hallelujah, joy. Okay, cool. Yes. Should you be sharing these kind of details? Maria said, I don't share any details with anyone at work. I have walls up like Jericho when it comes to work. I hear you, Maria. I hear ya. Patricia said, no, you shouldn't be sharing those details. Fareen Chijo, is it Chijo? Says you shouldn't, but chances are you will because you are close to the work wife husband. Okay, I'm hearing that. Precise. Ooh, that name there, baby. Precious Angel. You're gonna have to let me know how that's said. No, I have before, but out of ignorance. But I've since learned from my mistakes. Okay, that's cool. We like that. Rachel said, unless I know she's not a big mouth, Emil Robinson says, a couple's intimate details should not be shared with anyone, and most definitely not with anyone you work with. I hear that. AW says, when you work closely with someone for 10 plus years and a half, your day, you create relationship. This is the honest truth. So are you guys saying you don't have relationships with your colleagues? You don't? You don't share memes with each other? You don't have personal jokes with your colleagues, right? You don't have special code words with your colleagues. You telling me you don't have none of that? You know, you telling me you don't have none of those things there? Huh? Someone said, Maria, because you're beautiful, men can dream. It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. Question number 3. Should you share intimate details of your relationship with a work husband, work wife? This is a question. Brown Beauty says, boundaries are everything. Should you be sharing these kind of things? This is a real conversation, you know? Should we be sharing these kind of intimate details about work husband, work wife? Guys, why are you guys so shy to come up in here? You're giving me mad answers in the chat, but don't want to come aboard the stage and have this conversation. Okay, it's no fun when you guys are not on the stage. I need you guys on the stage. Send me an email to have your part of, say, the conversation. Send me an email so you guys can get in the conversation. I just need one person, you know. Then we're going to kick it off. You know what I'm saying? Tonight, you guys are being, you want to stay quiet behind the screen. We need you on the live, okay? We need you on the live. Glamrock said, a fair start with conversation, not the bed. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to say precious. I'm gonna go precious. I'm so sorry. When you overshare, you leave the door open for more. Okay, I hear that. Yeah, I'm hearing that. That's true. S says you can be close to colleagues, but there should be certain info about your relationship that's kept private. Okay. Emil Robinson, what's your addy? It's on the screen, Dalino. It's on the screen. LBB91talks@gmail.com. Yeah, drop that on there for you guys. Yeah. LBB91 Gmail, not LBB91talks@gmail.com. Guys, how you know? Is this not working? Is it this screen is not working? Are you guys not seeing the email? Maybe I need to make it brighter. I need to make it bigger. Okay. Need to make it brighter. Need to make it bigger. Okay. We need you to have your say tonight. Okay. We want you guys to be able to conversate. Okay. Conversate. Let me make it like this. Let me make it like this. Yeah, if you want to have your say tonight, this is what we need you to get on board, okay? We want to have a conversation tonight. Work husband, work wife. We want to know your particular viewpoints, okay? You know, we want to see what other. Let's add another question to the board now. Question number 4. So let me ask this. Okay, in fact, let me ask this question. Let's ask this question. Okay. How much time do you spend with individual? Let me notice that. Do you have? Okay, let me do this. Do you guys have a colleague of opposite sex you get on with well? Okay, that's what we're going to ask right now. Okay, we're going to ask if you guys have an opposite sex friend that you get on well with. Do you guys have a colleague of an opposite sex you get on with well? Okay, is there a colleague that you guys have that you get on well with? I should put it get on well with. I should put proper English. Is there a colleague like that, guys? I want to ask that question. Do you guys have that kind of colleague? I want to know. Do you have that kind of colleague that you get on well with? Okay. Do you have that colleague that you get on well with? Let's see how many yeses we're going to get out of this. We've got 106 people on the live. Let's see. So Rachel says yes. Nomi says yes. He's 10 years my senior. Okay. In fact, that's a good question. Let me put that in there. And what's the age gap? What is the age gap? That's a good thing. What is the age gap? I like that. What is the age gap? I like that. Let me add that on. What is the age gap? We want to know. Do you have a colleague that you have to? Druzy said, I did, but he retired. I mean, how old was he? Yeah, damn. He retired. Like, sis, what? GD Loves Me says no, she doesn't have any colleague of opposite sex that she gets on with. Future SLP says, I get along with almost anyone, but I'm married and make sure I give no periods of flirtation or unprofessionalism. I am there to work, period. Nick May says the term is cringe-worthy every time I hear it in a workplace. David Adekoya says older doesn't mean he doesn't do the action. So Keisha per year says if you and a colleague connect without physical attraction, it's fine. But if there's an attraction at all, no. Okay, so let me change the question. Because you see, work wife is evidently causing issues. Okay? Work wife is causing issues. Let's ask this question. Is there an opposite sex colleague you find attractive? Okay, this is part one of the question. Okay? Part one of the question is there an opposite sex colleague you find attractive? Right? Is there opposite sex colleague that you... My English is rubbish today. That you find attractive? All right, let me ask that question. That you find attractive. Is there an opposite sex colleague that you find attractive? Let's get that. Number 5. Let's get another question in there. I'm going to ask that question. Okay, Nick May said, work wife soon to be side piece. Oh, Nick. I mean, I like your display pictures. A very nice display picture. You look pretty. Huh? Yeah? No. AW says no. No, did not have an opposite sex colleague that they find attractive. AW says no. Drizzy says not currently, but in the past. Janine Harrison, are you changing the question to make it more appealing? I'm not trying to make it more appealing. What I'm trying to get to the point is we're not, because the work wife, work husband title alone, I think causes issue. It's the title that causes issue. But I'm trying to see what kind of relationships that you guys have, because I think a lot of people have relationships with our colleagues and they're not being truthful. I've been in the office before. And it's not as pretty as people are making it. Like, I never talk to nobody and no one can get close to me. There are very few people that, when they're in the office, do not have no off-key conversation, off-key, I don't want to say relationship. They're not doing anything per se, but everybody is pally when you're in the office. Like, I remember when I was in the office, listen, people that are married, they're not trying to do anything. But, like, let's say they bought someone something. Is that a big issue? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, yo, a lot of you guys are in relationships at work and you don't really say it's a work wife, work husband. But is it the title that's causing the issue? Do you know what I'm saying? Right? Like, so that's what I'm kind of asking that. Black Girl on Mars says, just because you don't have an attraction doesn't mean they do not. I had a close friend and colleague that admitted after 2 years his original intention was to go on a date. I don't date colleagues. That's good. I'm not going to say I don't date colleagues, but I am going to say that when you do date colleagues, you do get yourself into trouble. Okay? You can get yourself into trouble. Okay? AW says people are caught up or hung up on a title. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's a title that's going to cause issues for a lot of people. They can't, because I believe a lot of relationships, lights in the background, fantastic light, I see you, don't worry. I see you, light. I see Koja Milik says, not anymore since I'm working in a nursing home. When I work, then correction, there wasn't a steady supply and tractor office coming in male and female. Correctional officer spent 8 hours close. Okay. I hear that. Okay. Someone said, Lorraine M says the reality is some people are using work, wife, husband as an escapism from their actual relationships. Oh, baby. I'm hearing you. You understand? I'm hearing you. Okay. Keisha per year says he can have an attraction, yet I don't. His attraction doesn't determine my actions. I hear that. I hear that. Rachel says, I don't think a woman should initiate the work spouse thing, but if a guy initiates, I would turn it in. I would turn into something light and fun to get the day to go by fast, but not date the guy. Why shouldn't women initiate these things? What's the question? Why shouldn't women initiate? I'm gonna add that to my list of questions to ask tonight. Should women be? Should a woman initiate? You know, a work wife, work husband situation. Should that be, you know what I'm saying? And do people even initiate the conversation in that way? Do people initiate work wife, work husband by saying, hey, you're now my work wife, work husband? I don't think people say that necessarily. I think you just find out that you're work wife, work husband as the day goes along. I think as the weeks and the months and the years go along, you just kind of fall into it. You know, you get on well, you kind of flirt, you know, kind of as well. Coach Milik says, man, they're trying to act like offices are super professional places. Some of these places where people work are like modern day soap opera. And this is what I'm saying, Coach Milik, man. This is what I'm saying. People are acting as if they are so prim and proper in the office. I'm like, are you telling me you've never shared an inappropriate joke? Never told one, never listened to one, never joined in an inappropriate conversation? Sometimes in the office, yeah, they be talking about sex. They just have a conversation about sex. You telling me you've never had that conversation in the office before? Maybe it's just me, you know. Maybe my workplace was mad. Maybe my workplace was mad. We talk about everything. They talk about everything. Listen, there was no off limits. With British folk, there is no off limits out here. What's off limits? Once we share a bicky and we share a tea, there is no off limits to our conversation. You might tell me about what happened last night. You know what I'm saying? You need to know the levels. Okay? I'm a woman, and I know women who are not necessarily initially attracted to someone, but the personality can make them more attractive, which would cause issues. I hear that, future SLP. I hear that. Juicy G says, if I was interested in someone at work and it wasn't appropriate, I wouldn't call them a work husband. You can't be discreetly sneaky if you're overly flirty. Oh, okay. Latoya Smith says, no, if I found they attractive, I will stay away from them. Attraction is a powerful thing. Me being attracted to you and us being friendly, if I'm in a relationship, is a dangerous situation. Oh, baby. Oh, hey, baby. Keisha says, that's because many people say men who pretend to be friends really want more. I hear that. Norma says, I use my work husband to help pass the workload. Hey, smart woman. She said, listen, if you're going to be there, I'm going to bring you in, baby. I'm gonna bring you in, baby. Coach Milik goes on to say they talk about the games, what happened to Bill Clinton, what inappropriate social media circumstances take place, and the conversation flows from there. Exactly, Coach Milik. Honestly, you can be talking about anything and it just can flow into that, man. I'm telling you, I know so much. But we respect each other to not talk about these things outside the work office. We know not to talk about someone's relationship. Do you know what stuff I know? Do you know what stuff I know about husbands? And the things I know about wives? You don't know, brother. I know so much about people's husbands and wives, but I will never open my mouth to talk because in the office, it's not my business to come and talk about someone else's business. But you felt cool enough to tell me what is going on with you. I hear you. Ray says, I work as a nurse, and yes, there's sexual jokes all the time at nurse's station. It makes the day go by fast. See, listen, and let me tell you something. In the office, there is the darkest of jokes. Okay, there are some dark jokes that are being made in the office, man. I'm telling you. And some dark comments. Ha, man. Nick May says, this type of work wife husband makes me believe there's more than a work relationship. Okay. Look, I got light in the background. Let me bring her on and we can start kicking the conversation off. You know, guys, listen, if you want to jump on board, you guys, you're not showing the enthusiasms. You have to show the enthusiasms. You understand? We need to show the enthusiasm. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear the enthusiasms. Okay? You want to join tonight. Okay? We want you to say, listen, jump aboard. We want you to see you on the stage. Let me change it now. Okay? I want to put it this way. Email us. Come to have your say tonight. Okay. Brilliant. I've got two people in the background. Beautiful. I've got a guy and a girl, which makes it even more better. Love that. I got Light and Life for Bodge. Love that. Hello, guys. How we doing?
Hi, Kojo. Thanks for inviting me.
You're right, yeah?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Life for Bodge, how you doing, man?
Yo, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good.
Hi,
Good to
Light.
have
How
you.
you doing?
Huh?
I said, hi, Light. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Good
That's
to
what we
see
like
you.
to hear. Good to
Ah,
see you
thanks.
both.
Yeah,
Good to see you both.
cool.
Listen, let's kick start this conversation. There's been some nice little conversation in the beginning. I see you guys are sharing a lot of stuff in the comment section. And so we had man put the camera on life of Butch, my
Got it.
guy, gang. Jeez. So we're having this conversation. Deep dive Friday today. Should you have a work wife or husband? Okay, this is the question we're asking. Should you have a work wife or husband? And this is the question we're asking. So I want to ask you to, and your thoughts and your kind of viewpoints on this. Should you have a work wife or work husband? Life Watch, start it off for me. Should you have one?
I don't think there's a yes or no answer.
Okay.
I think I think it depends on the dynamic of the friendship. I don't like the term. I think the term is quite it it sounds wrong. It sounds quite invasive, and I think as a partner, I think it's quite offensive to say,
Mm,
oh, okay, so and so's my work wife, so and so's my work husband. I think pretty much what you're saying is something you're not getting something at home. There's an
mm,
element of your relationship which you feel you need someone else to talk to them about, and they do put them in a special position
mm,
rather than just a friend. And it's almost like because we could all have like friends who our partners know, but in that dynamic, majority of the time you spend with this friend is not going to be around your partner. Majority of the things that you share with that person, your partner doesn't really have a hold on, or not in a controlling way, but just in a what's the best way to say it? Just in like they're just not gonna know. Like I
mm,
could talk to a work wife about my actual girlfriend at home. Nobody that she doesn't know. There's no filter. There's, you know what I'm saying? She's not really gonna question it because she's not gonna know that. Nobody actually uses the term work wife around each other. It's just
mm,
a relationship that develops. People may joke, but I think when you actually look at the dynamic, there's much more to it than that.
mm,
So I think that they're the things which I think people need to consider. And I think obviously those dynamics don't start on a physical
mm.
level or necessarily with attraction. It you know how it is like familiarity
Yeah.
just builds and builds and builds. And even as men, we're very visual. It may not necessarily be that's your particular type, but rapport builds after a while.
Mm,
You get into a position where you feel very comfortable. After a while, it's not like the same as like you're dating someone. Your your goopy parts will come out, and you won't feel any way about showing them because you're not trying to date this person. So it's very free. It's very easy. And then after a while, just because you guys are around each other so much, what most people work maybe like 30 something hours a week, full time jobs, office environments, stress relief, all those kind of things. Yeah, it can get techy. So for me, I don't think there's any straightforward yes or no answer. But I think it's the reason why I think is important and the dynamic as well.
before I pass the baton on to Light, what is your definition of work husband, work wife?
Okay, my definition would be someone who you have a unique relationship with within the work environment that you within that environment you place as a partner. You consider
Mm,
them to be a life partner within the work environment, basically. You have a unique relationship. It's different to that your other colleagues, and obviously they're of the opposite sex.
okay, appreciate that. Light, thank you, Butch. Light,
Yeah.
join the conversation. Or should you have a colleague? Sorry, saying colleague. Should you have a work wife or work husband? Are you allowed to have one? Is this okay to have a work wife, work husband? What's your thoughts around this?
Should you Did you have? I don't know. I have to sort of put that question off the top because I think that it's sort of inevitable.
Mm,
However, as you know, I agree with Life Abroad that it really is about the term to start with. That it's very suggestive. Once you start calling someone your husband or your wife, you do put them in a different category than other people, and you're putting them in a category that um, should be reserved for the person that is your actual husband or wife. But I think if my memory serves me, the term work wife was originated by an actual wife when she recognized that her husband's needs in the office were being met. So at home, she fulfilled his needs in his personal life, but at work, the secretary at the time was she fulfilled everything that he needed at work without having to really ask for things. They had become very partner like. She was really aware of all of his specific needs and his preferences, and she would be able to be proactive in providing those things for him. So he was meant to feel comforted by that, and he had a level of trusting her, and having your needs fulfilled is a big thing. um
mm,
for most people, it's like, I don't want to have to go it alone with certain things. I don't want to have to ask you for certain things. I just want somebody that really knows me well enough. And then that was sort of the what I understood it to be. I heard it someplace some years ago. I don't know exactly who that person was, but my understanding was it was a wife that sort of joked that off. Um, and it now became like this regular pop culture kind of statement. But the problem is that when you're at work, you there are a couple of things that are happening. One,
mm-hmm,
you are able to leave your home where you have a lot of intimate stressors and go
mm-hmm,
to an environment every day where you can escape those stressors.
mm-hmm,
So you're already trying to get away from something, even though you don't really feel that way. Everybody thinks I really love my wife. I mean, I love my kids. I'm having a great family life, but everybody's got stressors. And when you go to the office, it's kind of like I can just not think about that. I can fill my mind with the work that I'm doing. But as you pointed out, work environments that have, a number of colleagues, you do form a really sort of personal attachment or a personal dynamic. And you always come up with somebody, it's inevitable that you're going to be closer to somebody than most of the people there. But when it comes to having it be a woman, I mean, if you're not partnered up, if there's not like a personnel backup, or you're not dealing with the same sort of issues, I don't know why you would want to, how that would actually fit as a work, a work wife or a work spouse of any kind. If you're not, if this person is not meeting those kinds of needs, why would you? Just because you get along? That's
mm,
not, from my mind, that's not what it actually means. But I realize that, it means something different now. It means the person that you're closest to, that you get along with, that you can chat to, you can go to lunch with. I don't think that it's necessary to call that person a work spouse, because they're not doing for you what, those kinds of things. If you're very comfortable with somebody of the opposite sex, I think that you need to acknowledge that. That's a problem. I think that people don't want to acknowledge that they're having a certain type of connection with someone other than their actual spouse. You have to be able to be self-aware enough to say, gee, I need to, I'm really digging this person. You don't want to admit it because you don't want to feel like you're cheating. But a part of being able to protect yourself from crossing your own boundaries is that you have to know what's going on within yourself, and you have to be able to admit that to yourself. And my experience with that is actually, I don't work in an office anymore, but I actually was a person that was the one that fulfilled the needs of everybody in the office. It was the office coordinator, manager at the time. And I had a best friend in the office who was a male, but we didn't have that type of dynamic. We were very careful about it. We had a lot in common. He was a person of faith. He was an immigrant person as well. We had a lot of, a lot of things that we had in common, and we just laughed a lot and we had a lot of fun. He was married, I was single, but we were really very careful about that we wouldn't give the impression to anyone else that there was something. We actually didn't have anything happening, but we were very careful of the impression of that. And then in the same office, there was a gentleman that I actually had a mutual attraction with, who was also in a relationship, a long-term relationship. And we had to deal with that as well. And we were moving into that area of being way too chummy. And I really just had to put the brakes on that one because I did not want to cross any lines there. And when you're at work, you want to maintain professionalism. You want your reputation to be beyond reproach. And I'm not saying, I was always perfect and I did everything right, because I really, really screwed up a good friendship with that person because I was very closed off. I became very closed off. And, I had a history in my younger life anyway to be, have a lot of walls up. But I didn't know how to navigate around that uncomfortable point in our relationship to get back to a friendship. So the friendship ended. But you do have to sort of understand what you're feeling and determine what you want to do about it, and then try to figure out a way to navigate around it so that it doesn't become a difficult situation in the office, because that's just as bad. If you become close with somebody and then you have that kind of a disconnect, it impacts everybody in the office and impacts your work and impacts your reputation, impacts everything. So I think it's just a matter of, don't use that term. That's not what it boils down to from me. Do not use that term. If you have someone in the office that you're really close to, it's okay to say, that's my best friend in the office, or that's the person I'm closest to, or, we're buddies or something. But why would you give that title to someone that is not your actual spouse? And I agree with you, Life of Boy, that it is slightly disrespectful to your spouse.
Okay. I appreciate that, Light. Thank you for hitting that up. We got Koji Malik in the background as well, about to jump aboard. Okay, I'm hearing you guys. Hearing you. You've got two people who say it's a no-go. The work husband, work wife. I'm gonna ask some more questions and get us really conversating, because there's some interesting things about work wife, work husband. I think we're gonna get into the semantics of this and whether it's the title or whether it really is that we shouldn't be having work husband, work wife situation. So I'm gonna add some more people to the conversation and get their thoughts as well. Koji Malek was to the conversation, and as well, May Baby 523. Welcome to the convo. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yes.
Hello.
Okay. This is an interesting conversation. You are speaking with a retiree.
Okay. Give us your perspective then on work husband, work wife. Should it be happening, or is it a violation? What's your kind of thoughts around this?
I think that I've seen a lot of them, okay? And they generally go south, no pun intended. But, it's not a good situation. First of all, I think that the only person that you should really share the intimate details of your life, whether they are, regardless whether it's sexual or whatever they are, I don't think you should share them with anyone other than your spouse or your significant other. I think when you bring those things into the workplace, you give people fodder for chatter about yourself. Excuse me. Even when you think you're speaking with somebody who is totally loyal to you, sometimes things get out. So I personally think it's just people ought to be work colleagues. You can be friends, you can be good friends, but not to the point where a work relationship is as significant almost as that with your spouse or your partner. That's my take on it.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, May baby. Kojo Malik, get us your perspective. Should you be having a work wife or work husband? Talk to me, bro.
Oh, I'm a girl. I'm a girl.
Oh
I'm a
snap!
lady.
My bad.
That's
You know, as soon as
okay.
I said bro,
It's
as
a
soon as I left my mouth, I said, "Shout it, Kojo, shout it."
but you're right. It's a combo of my son's names, Corey, Jamal, and Malik.
Oh,
But
okay,
absolutely
love it.
not.
Absolutely not. Ooh,
Absolutely not.
what?
And it depends on the nature of your job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I worked in corrections, so it was always new meat coming in,
Okay.
literally.
Yeah.
So in corrections, the officers a lot of times, and I'm not an officer, would be two people together for 8 hours a day. And if they had to work double shifts, but it was also it's not these office things. We're in a small town and in corrections, people tend to socialize as well as work there. So
Ooh.
depending on, and even like with a nursing, I don't, not from a big city, so I don't know how people roll, but generally when you work with people for years and years, it's inevitable to not talk about some aspect of something, because one day you're going to come to work and you're not going to be looking right. You're not going to be yourself. And even like somebody said, if you're not attracted to the person, just a lot of times talking to somebody, you become attracted to them. And if your
Mm.
relationship is crappy to start off with, or it runs into areas of stress at times, that escapism of talking to this other person who you don't have to do the daily grind with is a setup for disaster, even
Mm.
if you don't follow through with it. And you may not like the person. That's why I say, unless they impotent, 99 years old, and you confide in an elder and seeking some advice from an elder, it is not a good practice, especially if you're young. But even when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or whatever, you're still vulnerable, because what they say, when you think you're strong, that's when you're weak. So
Mm.
I don't never think it's a good idea, especially with young people. All them
Mm.
hormones running around, and the older people think they're safe, so they may not even put up as many safeguards as younger people. And would your spouse even want you oversharing? And even if they don't put a label on it, you tend to, a lot of times, if you bring food and stuff to work, or you always find yourself getting this person coffee, or they're bringing you little things, or they're buying lunch all the time, just doing nice things, that if it was a title on it, and even sometimes sharing the details on your job with your coworkers, because I done seen some wretched ass coworkers. Like when one girl finished, her husband was finna get divorced. She like, I do with him, and they were friends, and she knew all the details. But that's the
Mm.
risk of working in a job 10, 15, or whatever years. You know, some of my closest friends are people that I work with, and we've been working together probably over 20 years, and we are definitely friends, and we definitely overshare. But I don't make those relationships lightly with anyone. We've been, like I say, when I came to the job, her kids were teenagers, and I was pregnant, and now my kids are adult and hers way adults. So relationships develop even in same sex, non-romantic areas, and you share,
Mm.
and it definitely can happen in opposite sex attraction. And hell, even if you same sex, it sometimes happen.
Mm.
So that's I
Boss.
take on it.
Okay, I'm hearing you. Thank you, Kojo Malik. Appreciate
All
that.
right,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
all right,
Got one more person
all
in the
right.
background. Hello, sis. How you doing? You're right.
Good.
How do you say it? Vicky Lane? Is that correct? Is that how I pronounce it?
Yes.
Because you know me, I butcher names out here. I love the background. We are talking about we're discussing at the moment about work husband, work wife. We just answered the first question, which was, should you have a work husband, work wife? And I guess we're kind of talking in the context of you already being in a relationship. I think we're making that presumption ahead of time. So for you, if you're in a relationship, should you have a work husband, work wife? I want to say this hypothetically, just in case anybody is in a relationship and their partner may be watching. I don't want you to get in trouble when you do have a work husband or work wife and you're not being honest. So, hypothetically speaking, should you have a work husband or work wife?
So if you're asking me, when I was immature, I would have said yes, but now that I'm more mature, I say no.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit more context to that then. Now
Okay.
you're mature, what does that mean?
So when I was immature, I thought to myself, like, what would the issue be? And so as long as I had someone to talk with of the opposite sex, I was like, well, I'm getting the male perspective. Like, it's important to have the male perspective when you're going through issues in a relationship. Not realizing that in sharing intimate details, it exposed my partner. And so now that I'm more mature, I just think that if you're having issues and you're lacking communication within your relationship, the person you should be going to is your partner. And if there's somebody that you need to seek of the opposite sex, like that's why I have brothers that I should have went to. I have two older brothers, or maybe a cousin or my pastor or something like that. So that's why I say, like, when I was immature, I thought there wasn't an issue, like, slight flirting, but didn't take it overboard. It was just somebody giving me a little bit of attention
Come on now.
that I wanted at that time. But again, now that I'm more mature, I say no, and I would never have a work husband.
Totally hear that. Totally hear that. That's a real one right there. I hear you. I hear you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes. Okay. So I think, and I'm sure some other people are going to join because I know I've sent them the link and stuff as well. It's this work husband, work wife situation is an interesting thing because I think it really depends on how we're viewing work husband, work wife, right? And so I'll give some qualifications a little bit later on down the line when we get the rest of the people on the panel, because then we can really start to say whether we are interested in work husband, work wife already. If you're already in a work husband, work wife situation, you don't even know you're in it. You understand? Some of you might be thicker in it than you realize. You understand? So we'll break that down a little bit later. We'll make it interesting as we do that. Okay, cool. So my question number 2. I'm going to ask. Someone asked this question. I think it's a really good question. What is the difference between a work friend and a work spouse? I'm guessing, right? I put spouse there, but what is the difference between a work friend and a work spouse? Because we're saying work husband, well, it's a bit of a problematic thing. So what's the difference between a work friend and a work husband or work wife? Because you guys touched on some really good things. You spoke about putting your partner out by sharing some particular information. You said obviously that how it can be perceived, how it can be looked. Sometimes you can get a little bit too close. We spoke about all those kind of things. But what is the difference between a work husband or work wife and a work friend? Then what is the difference there? Life of Bodge, you wanna kick that off for us as well?
Okay, I mean these terms, they're funny. They're funny terms. I think with friend, I think the term friend can be very broad. I think, and a lot of the time that relationship, yes, while they may be your friend, they may not exist outside of your work relationship. You may have a group of friends, and you're all on that same sort of level as work friends, right? There's elements of your personal life that they know. There's elements of personal life that they don't. You don't necessarily, I think in that term, you don't necessarily have to have that emotional connection to. Whereas with a work spouse, I think it's the idea that they are benefiting, or they're getting some of the benefits of what you would have in a relationship, just in the workplace. So whether it be, you guys take each other out to eat lunch on a regular basis, you bring food in, or she brings food in for you to work. The extra hugs, the long hugs, whatever. And then also it's the sharing of personal information. And it's I guess it's replacing what you would maybe confine in an actual spouse. You wouldn't necessarily do that with a work friend. You do that with your actual friends, your friends in your friends at home, your friends you've known for a longer period of time. in 2 weeks become work friends with someone, I could leave that workplace and not take that friendship on. But I think with a work spouse, you're building an emotional connection. It's just in the workplace, and you guys between you know that it doesn't go beyond that, whether it's said or not, I would say. But that's my perspective anyway.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question though. Let me ask you a question. So let's say you've been dating someone for a little while now, yeah, and you've been stressing to them. Listen, babe, look, you know what? I would just love for you to cook a bit more. She's been dragging her feet about this cooking thing. You know what you got with? All right, cool. Now your work wife, okay, or your work friend has decided. You know what? Life of Bod, you're looking a bit skinny. Let me cook you some delectables. Some delectables for you. You know what I'm saying? Bring it in for you 2 or 3 times a week, you know what I'm saying? And let me bring in some food for you because I know you like your food. You understand?
Food,
yeah? You haven't even told me that, your girlfriend doesn't cook. You haven't said that. She just picked up on the fact that, you know what, it'll be something nice for her to do. Is this a violation?
It's a violation because you've gone. It's one of those things, you've gone to seek it outside of your relationship. You're looking for something that you don't get in your relationship. It's a want, right? And in some cases it's a need. So I would say yes.
But you didn't ask for it. She picked up on it.
Yeah.
You didn't say, "Oh, cook me something." She just said, "Laughable, you're looking a bit trim. Let me just cook a delectable meal for you, and bring it to work. Not for home. Bring it to work for you."
Has a woman ever propositioned you and you didn't answer it?
I mean, listen, a lot of women cooked for me before. This is.
No, I'm saying, and I'm sure some women have propositioned you.
What's
and
that?
You didn't answer it.
What's proposition? It's a big word.
Offered you sex.
It's a big word, sir.
Nah, I was just trying to clean, YouTube and that. But so it all leads to something. Right? I'm not saying it necessarily does, but it's one of your wants. It's something that it could even be your love language. You know what I mean? At service, someone is meeting that need, and your partner, because they're comfortable, they don't see it as being a big deal. Or maybe in terms of your relationship, you didn't vocalize that early on. Now all of a sudden someone else is meeting that, and you're gonna let it slide. It's just natural because in your mind you've already said it doesn't really mean anything. It's just within the workplace. Your partner doesn't know. You don't have to tell them. You don't bring that food home. So I think there's a violation because naturally you're not going to say, Shanice cooked me Ackee and saltfish the other day. You're not gonna tell your partner that. And simple rice and stew she can't cook at home.
It even tastes good.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So I think it's a violation. It's stuff like, okay, let's say on the ladies' side, your partner hasn't been taking you out to eat, and you've got Jerome in the office. He takes you out for lunch 3 times a week.
And he's paying as well,
He's paying. Never let you pick up the bill.
Energy.
You know what I'm saying? So
now y'all know. A way through a man's heart is through his stomach. At least they say that. Y'all know that.
Yes, ma'am.
And you may know your intentions, but you don't know the other person's intentions. And if she ain't bringing food for the whole office, and you would be uncomfortable telling your spouse, it's a problem. You ain't gonna be like, "Oh, honey, Sheila cook food for me 3 days a week," and she can be like, "Oh, Sheila cook food for the office." No, Sheila cook food for me. She bring me, or he buys me. It's 5 girls in the office, but he's only bringing me food and buying me lunch. So, if you can't share all of the details, then it's probably a problem.
So you're saying the cooking thing is off limits then?
Yeah.
I don't think it's not totally off limits.
Cooking.
I think it's the frequency.
We used to do a potluck.
Okay.
We used to do a potluck at work. and we took a turn every once a week. Somebody brought food for the entire little medical department. That's different. But cooking specifically for you and fixing you a plate, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all nice and neat with the good Tupperware and the nice napkins and stuff. That's just an unofficial date. I'm just saying.
Do you know, I just had an image
And
of
I
her
know
just
when
like,
in corrections, we always have new officers and new people coming in, especially with a place with a high turnover. Man, you
mm,
could eat free for about 2 months. You could eat free for about 2 months with
I'm hearing
somebody
you.
trying to buy you something to eat.
I'm
So
hearing you.
no. But
Okay.
it's places where people are really professional like that. Now I can understand a place where a lot of white people work at. But
Mm,
when there's a lot of people like my people working there,
mm.
sometimes we are not that formal.
That's so true. I'm hearing you. Okay, so since you've spoken about that, the question we're asking in this part now is, what's the difference between work friend, work spouse though? What is the difference here, if there is
I
any
know that
difference?
I know that of which I speak from personal experience
Mm.
because that work friend that tied my shoe when I was pregnant, and then I saw him at the club at a different look when he bent over and tied my shoe when I was pregnant, and I wasn't pregnant no more. So it's some boundaries and blurred lines. I'm just saying. I know people talk like that don't happen, but yeah. So, and I've seen it. I've seen it happen a lot. I've seen it
Mm.
happen a lot. But I'm from a small town, so everybody know everybody business.
Fair point. Fair point. Okay, appreciate it, Coach Malik. Drizzy, welcome to the conversation. Welcome to the conversation. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
We're answering the question. It's always good seeing the comment section. We're answering the question right now. Work friend, work spouse. What is the difference between a work friend, work spouse, if there is any difference between the two?
And I think it's extremely important to have really good boundaries so you don't cross or blur those lines and you don't allow anyone else to cross or blur those lines, right? Um, I think that there's a very fine line between the friendship and the spouse at work. For me, my coworkers are my coworkers, my friends are my friends. If I'm not spending time with you outside of work, then we are merely coworkers. We're not friends. And I commented earlier because I did have a work husband, right? But that was merely because we spent the majority of our waking hours together at work. But other than that, we worked together. That was it. Um, he brought in pictures of his children when they were born. And there were times when he was on the phone with his wife and she would say, "Oh, he's not taking care of himself, make him eat lunch," or that kind of thing. But there was no, not a chance that he was going to be anything other than a co-worker, although I did call him my work husband. Now, of course, there were guys. I've worked in the Department of Corrections for the most of my career, so there were always lots of men around, right? Um, and a fair amount of good looking and fine men. But if there was any attraction on my part to them, or if I believed that there was any attraction on their part toward me, there was no flirting. It was strictly professional.
Totally
So
hear that.
I think that you do have to mind boundaries. And like Life of Baj was talking about, if you're accepting things from your work partner, work friend, work spouse that you can't tell your partner about, there's definitely a problem.
Mm.
You're being unfaithful. That's infidelity.
Hey, I feel like it's such a heavy word on man's neck.
It should be, Kojo.
I'm hearing you, sis. I appreciate this. Appreciate it. Okay. I'm hearing that vibes. I'm hearing that. So I'm hearing that. Okay, so let me slightly ask a slightly question. I'm gonna go to Vicky, and I'll go to Light. So let me ask a question. So everyone's kind of making that distinction between work husband, work wife situation. So here's my thing. I'm like, okay, so at what point then? At what point okay, for instance, let's say you had an opposite sex friend. I'm gonna really tail it off now. You had an opposite sex friend that you've known for years, and they cook for you 2 or 3 times in the week. Is that a problem compared to the work friend who's cooking for you, or work husband who's cooking for you 2 or 3 times? Is that a problem now? That's a question I want to ask now. Go for it, Vix.
So I would say, again, when I was immature, the answer would be no. But now that I'm mature, the answer is yes. Because honestly, and the reason I say that is that for the majority of my life, I had males as my friends for the majority of my life. And it's only within the last 3 years that I've gotten some really great women relationships / friendships, right? But my longest lasting friend, I've met him in 2007 when we became freshmen in college / university. And if he were cooking for me to this day, I'm letting you know right now, my fiance would have issues with that. He was cooking 3 times a day. And so as I've grown older, I've had to place boundaries within my long lasting male friendships. So again, like taking it upon myself to be like, hey, I'm in a relationship, so like no more calls after 9 p.m., right? The level of frequency that I'm going to talk to you is going to be less. And that's just something that I've done for myself in respect to my partner. So I believe it's up to each individual to decide for themselves and also with their partners and saying like, hey, what's acceptable for you? What's not acceptable? And even like my fiance, he has a really good woman, I should call her a woman, friendship that he's known since high school. So even longer than my friendship with my friend Trey. And so, after meeting her, conversing with her and seeing how their friendship is, like it made me feel comfortable that he set levels of boundaries and then I set levels of boundaries within our relationship. And so again, like if my friend from college was fixing me three meals a week, that'd be a huge issue. So the answer is no.
Okay, I'm hearing you. Light, what's your thought? Thank you very much, Vix. Light, what's your thoughts? We're asking a question here now. Work husband, work wife, work friend, work spouse. Is there a difference here in that term? Is there a difference of behavior? Like, what's your thoughts?
I think the difference between a work friend and a work spouse has a lot to do with the intimacy levels. If you are someone, if you have you're friends with people at work that you can joke and you can talk, or even that you can confide in, I think that there is a safe category for that. But when you're confiding in someone with a level of intimacy that you really can't share with anyone, that's a sliding slope, and you sort of have to pay attention to that, especially if it's someone of the opposite sex, or even sometimes if it's not, you just don't realize. I think that's the main differentiation, is that you're doing things that you didn't think you would do. If you're waiting to see that person, if you're too anxious to see that person, if you're, missing them at times when, your mind should be elsewhere, that those are indications that maybe you're having more of a deeper feeling for them than for your other friends at work. And you have to put that boundary in there. I totally agree with Vicky Lane that you have to set those boundaries, but you have to set those boundaries for yourself. You can't control what the other person is going to do. It's great if you have a relationship where you can say, I think, maybe we can take a step back. But sometimes that's not that easy, especially in a work environment. But you do have to be able to set boundaries for yourself to say, I'm not going to be alone with this person, or if we have to go into the conference room together, maybe don't close the door. Oh, Joe, what did you do? There are little things, and I love the example of the food, because I on one level, I don't think that it's a big problem if you have someone that says, I know you don't really, you like food and I'm a good cook. And there's an aspect of a need being met by the person making the food. If you're a person that is a really good cook and you have some pride in that, you have a connection with somebody at the office that really likes food, regardless of what you know about their spouse and how they can cook, you are getting satisfaction from this person enjoying the fruits of your labor. That is, that really is going to cause me some level of a different kind of connection, I would say, than for anybody else. Somebody else might say, thank you, and you appreciate it. That's it. If you don't get that feedback, then maybe that need is not being fed. So, I was thinking, I kind of asked the question in the chats there to Life of Boy, what would you say if you know that this person is making food for you, but it's starting out innocently? How do you navigate around that? Please don't bring me any more food. How do you say that to somebody who's trying to be generous? Because you don't want to accuse them of hitting on you, but you kind of have to maybe say, I should, I want to know what you guys think as men, but I guess my thought would be, as a woman in the situation, I would hope that my partner would say, I'm going to have to, have you talk to my wife and give her this recipe or something, even if you know that person that's cooking for you ain't gonna give you their recipe because it's private.
That's what I'm saying. She ain't about to give that recipe.
But you bring your wife into the situation when you feel it's uncomfortable. Let them know this is a need that I would like to have met by my wife, and not necessarily. But thank you for the food, delicious, loved it. But my wife, da 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 da. That's just my take.
I thought my wife might have been happy, a bit of a workload lesson. Do you know what I mean? Less cooking for her. Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, expand on that. I know you said that as a joke.
I'm kidding.
But I mean,
but it's a real thing, though, isn't it? Because cooking in itself from scratch is energy and time.
I don't like to cook, so I can be the person to say, I don't like to cook, and I'm not that good at it.
I'm not that great either. So a good home cooked meal. Listen, you're gonna be cooking some real dishes up in here and bringing it to work on my lunch break. When I just had a good gym set, because I go gym like on my lunch break. Obviously, I don't work in the office now, but when I was going to gym on my work break. Now I can imagine the beauty of coming back to my desk and just seeing the wafer of the smoke whispering up into the sky as I come back and sit at my desk and I'm just smelling fresh food. I mean, to be honest, babes, I love you, but you know what? I'm about to eat a good quality meal right now just after I pumped iron. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might kick off. I'll answer the question after. I'll answer the question after. Emil wants to hit it. Go for it, Emil. And then the coach, I'll let you hit it after. Is it Emil or Emily? Sorry, I keep pronouncing his name crazy. Is it Emily?
Yeah, I know it's the I and the E, right? It's Emily. It's the same.
It's Emily still. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah,
Sorry about that, Emily. Hit us up. We're talking about some real stuff here. Yeah. You can chime in. We were asking a question between work husband and work wife. You can chime into the cook food conversation if you want to as well. But go for it.
If she cooked that good, she better be selling plates. If she cooked that good and making some side money.
She might do for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I'll answer your question in a sec. Country Milk. Emily, go for it.
Yeah, no, it's a no go with the food. I think that. It's because she's cooking you food. Like, who does that? That should be your partner, right? Like, it's whenever it's kind of like encroaching on like partner's not duty but territory. I think it's I don't know. It's you should leave it aside. Like, if it's like a potluck with like a group of friends and coworkers, then it's fine. It's just friends. But like Light said, it's the intimacy level, because it's in the definition, right? Friends are friends and spouses are spouses. Like, there's a level of intimacy that is kind of respected. And if you have a work husband, like, I'm thinking of the show. Do you guys remember the show Law and Order SVU, when it was Olivia and what was the name of her partner? I don't remember. But it was always
Stabler.
Yeah. So they had a thing. They had kind of the police work, the work they do was intense. It's just an example. It's just to say that if it goes into the territory that you share experiences together, that you're partner is not, like your real partner is not able to understand, or that you kind of have insides or only conversation and it's part of you that only share with them. And if it has to go with like they kind of want to cook you food or do things for you, I think it's too much. I think it's a no-go. Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Oh, before you go, Emily, let me ask a question. So let's say we're in a relationship, and I let you know, Emily, that Vicky done cooked me some beautiful food. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I cooked your food?
No, Vicky cooked me some lovely food.
Oh.
So just imagine, like, so like we're together, and Vicky cooked me some lovely food at work. That's my work colleagues, you know what I'm saying? And then I cooked this food. She cooked the food for me, and I'm like, babe, yeah, Vicky cooked me some great food, whatever, and I got some left over. Do you want some as well? Like, are you gonna have it? I'm just asking a real question because I think we all have these different hang-ups. So, would it be an issue for you, specifically for you?
I wouldn't let you. It depends. Like, I mean, I would keep it cool and be like, "Oh, really? Is it the first time?" You know, kind of ask you more about it. But it goes into my brain. Vicky is cooking your food. Now, it wouldn't fly.
I rate that. Okay, I appreciate it, Emily. Okay.
Can I just say I agree with Emily real quick?
You would agree?
Yes.
It would be a problem?
Yes, it's a problem.
Why is that a problem?
Because to me, it's a level of intimacy. For someone who likes to cook, and I'm a better baker, but when I was single, how I showed my love and affection for people was baking them, because it's time, it's energy, it's money. And so, and I would always joke with people, like, I only bake you special cookies if I love you. And so if I'm not baking you food, that means we don't have that type of relationship. So it's very few people outside of my family that I bake for. And so if I'm baking for you, that means I care about you on a level that I don't particularly care about everybody else. Like, mind you, I love everyone with the love of the Lord, but not everyone's getting my pound cake and my cookies. Like, I'm just letting you know it's that right now. And so if someone were to take their time, knowing that my partner is in a relationship and they're going to cook food for just them, then we are going to have a conversation about why that person feels so comfortable cooking for you. And then we can go from there.
I want to piggyback on that, take that a little bit further to the other side of this. If you're the actual partner to this gentleman who has this situation in his workplace, I mean, you don't want to be accusatory. You don't want to live in that space. But as women, we have to consider the fact that other women know how to get to men. And sometimes the fact that they have a wife or they have a partner is an obstacle to that. So if somebody, it could be innocent, but it also could be from the wife's perspective that this person is trying to endear themselves to their husband little by little, step by step. These very, the seemingly innocent things can be an indication that more is going to happen. And it could be that the husband is not actually doing anything, but we have to wonder what's happening with that other woman. And so even if that has happened once or twice, you come home and say, babe, so-and-so, Vicky baked me some sweet cookies. I'm going to say, that's really nice. I'm hoping that my husband would bring some home to me when he's saying that, and so that he knows I'm sharing this with you, so that it's not just between me and Vicky. But as the wife, I would have to wonder, again, like Emily said, how many times did she do that? And is she doing that intentionally? Because it's not just about starting off like, okay, we have this intimacy that we didn't realize was going to grow. Sometimes it's intentional, and as a wife, we have to consider what the difference is there.
I would say, let's take it out for cooking and put it on the men. If your wife came home and her coworker Jay was a mechanic, and he was like, "Oh, you need the lights in your car changed or whatever, such and such," I could do that. Oh, whatchamacallit? Oh, babe, we don't have to take it to the dealership. After work, he was in the parking lot and he changed my light switch, and now I got lights. My tail light is fixed. Or, yeah, he said he owned a car wash on the side. His side hustle is a car wash, and he just washed my car for free because he was doing it this weekend. And he said bring it through, and he did that. And little things like that happen. I don't think men would be comfortable. We doing the food thing, but I think if a man saw somebody, or he said he could come by the house and fix this, your husband not good at fixing stuff, and it was something that probably would cost money, but because that person had the skill set, it's not a big deal. And they did that more routinely, as much as cooking. How would men respond?
Okay, wait, before the men respond, I just want to say we did a live specifically where we did a dilemma, and it was about the mechanic. And the way that people reacted was like, it's okay, it's a one-off, da 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 da. And now we're here sitting here, and I'm hearing you say to me that it could be a problem.
Now the shade tree mechanic get paid in pussy. Now you know that.
But I know that. But I'm saying when we did it live, I had so many people saying, "Coach, the way you're behaving is out of key. What kind of man is not gonna let his girl get the free mechanic thing?" And I said, "But just because that's precisely what we're talking about." But you see this.
They have alternative forms of payment.
This is what I'm trying to say. I said the same thing, but everyone at the time was saying, no. You're not thinking about it, coach. And I was like, no. When you get it for free, there's nothing free in this life. But the women were telling me, no, I'm being extra, and I'm being a broke and dusty. They told me. So, but
invisible strings are attached to those services, and they call it bartering.
Maria said that's not what they said. That's what they said. We had the same situation. That's what they said. They said the same.
It's called bartering, an exchange of services. Mm-hmm. Now it might take 2 or 3 things getting fixed. Maybe it's not just a tail light. Maybe you getting your engine redone. So maybe that might require more payment. I'm just saying, I'm from a small town. That's what shade tree mechanics do.
I hear that. Before the men go, Vic, do you want to say something quickly? You look like you were about to say something.
No, I was just laughing because I agree. Like anything that, people say is free, it has strings attached to it. So I would not be going to that mechanic. My man would have an issue with that.
Mm-hmm. I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew it. But the ladies tried to make me I was crazy on the panel that time. They tried to make me crazy. I was outnumbered that day. But today we have men on the panel. So, Mandem, you hear the conversation. You hear the situation, the conversation that's going on right now. Would it be a problem? Alex, welcome to the conversation. Good seeing you. Would it be a problem, Alex, if your wife or your girlfriend or wife came home and saying, Jerome at the office done cooked up a lovely gumbo soup, or cooked up some Caribbean, curry goat with some rice, with the extra salad on the side, with the coleslaw that's freshly made as well, with the potato salad added to that as well. Would you have a problem, Alex, if she came home with the carton as well, and just said, listen, babe, Jerome cooked up a storm today, and it's only for me? Would you have a problem with that?
That's what island men do.
Alex, what are you saying?
First of all, I just want to make one thing clear to the American people. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I did not ask anyone to lie at any time. And I need to go back to work and serve the American people.
Okay.
You crazy. You crazy.
Oh my gosh.
How's back on track? Answer the question, because you ain't gonna dodge like that. Answer the question. Man trying to drop us a little JF. Listen, answer the question. It's very simple. Would you have a problem with that situation? Jerome done cooked up a storm in the kitchen. You understand? You know the one where the thing, he cook it with a big pan and a pot. You know what I'm saying? Fresh. And brought it in for your babes. Would that be a problem?
Man like Jerome.
And it tastes good too. It's not even like it's trash. It tastes good.
I mean, if I'm getting some, then props to him.
Okay, so you wouldn't mind if you're getting some too. You wouldn't mind.
If I'm getting a decent amount, yeah.
Okay. So she brings it home, and you're getting a decent amount. You're cool with that. Yeah. Okay. How about if she tells you she already ate the food at work, You know, she was hungry. It had been a long day. You know, she doesn't work the traditional 9 to 5. She's working at 12 to 8. So by the time she ate the food, it's like 6. So it actually was dinner. So, you know, she ate the food and it didn't. When she got home, she didn't need to give you some because it's already done. Would that be a problem then?
Wait, so she's eating and some at work.
Yeah, she's eating it all, bro, because
She's
it was late
eating it
at
all,
work. Yeah,
and I'm not getting any.
You haven't got any, bro.
And she just come home to say, Jerome's cooking.
Well, you
this.
asked
And
her, babe, you hungry? And she said, listen, babe, Jerome done cooked up a storm at work, and yeah, he gave me curry goat and rice, and yeah, man, especially for her. Would that be a problem?
Yeah, definitely would be.
You see,
this is the thing. You see, this is the thing. You're adding all these layers of complexity to the situations, Kojo, and this is why we have this situation in the first place. Anyway, because it's not black and white. It's you know, it's shades of grey, and this is the problem with work hubby, work spouse. It's like it's not simple. Life isn't simple like that. And this is why soap operas and reality TV has the capacity to be so interesting, because we get to play this God role where we see every side of a person's life that we as individuals don't see. So you get to see him here, get to see how she's lying to him here, and then she did this behind his back, but he doesn't know. But on Wednesday, he's going to find out inevitably because he's going there, and they're going to walk in the same. This is why it's so interesting. And this is the thing, it's like, you can't control people's behavior. Say this person's working a 9 to 5. That's 8 hours of the day that they're spending with this work colleague, friend. I mean, it's just about discipline, really, and being honest with it. The more honesty and integrity in the relationship with the people, then it's fine. But
so as long as she's open and honest with you, you're good. Basically, what you said is what you're saying with the food situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, but okay, she's open and honest now, but you're not getting some. Is that a problem then?
But then that's why am I not getting some? Why?
You didn't specify you get some. You said open and honest. So I said she's open and honest and told you, hey, look, Jerome just be cooking for me. You know, is that a problem?
But then that's when the line of inquiry starts. It's like, okay, how long's Jerome been doing this for? Why is he doing this?
So you basically
why are you even telling me this if you've already eaten it? If you already ate it, why are you telling me?
It came up in conversation. You know how it goes. Conversations, it can come up in
conversation. Yeah, it's fine, but it's like if it's not that big a deal, you just trying to trigger me, like, no. Because you've eaten it already, so it's the past. What's that got to do with now?
Because when she got home, you asked her do you want something to eat, and she already done said Jerome already cooked for me at work, so she fully done eating the food and she didn't have none left. It was late in the day as well, so now you know she doesn't need to eat when she get home. So now that might be a conversation. So I'm saying to you, okay, aside obviously yes, there are other nuances that can happen, but I'm saying to you, are you having a problem if the food doesn't arrive to you? You're basically saying that you would have a problem.
Yep.
If you don't get some
100%.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's the question answered. I appreciate
100%.
You were trying to do JF Kennedy up in here. I appreciate it, Alex. Okay. Vic, do you want to say something? And I'm going to go to Life of Bodge. Are we going to say something? No, you weren't going to say that. Life of Bodge, let me ask you a question, because the ladies want to put pressure on us and put some heat on us as well, because obviously, especially from the last live that we did where they said the mechanic was okay, they're now trying to get us back. So obviously, bro, is it a problem? I think I already know your answer. If your girl comes to you and says, look, Jerome done cooked a meal for me, but she's offering some to you as well, so it's not finished. She's now offering some to you. Are you having a problem? And if you are, why are you having a problem, since you are getting some of this food?
I don't have a problem with her. I have a problem with his motives. I think a man cooking at work for a work colleague is a very unique situation. And, you know, I mean, I think regardless, I would ask, okay, what is he a really good cook? Like, how does this come about?
Well, you can taste it, can't you?
I'll be eating the food and be like, let me know some more. Do you know what I mean? I think I'll ask some questions. And I think for me, if it's a case of, oh, he just wanted to cook for me, so I mean, I'll be like, okay, how did he? Like, did you tell him that you wanted him to cook for you? I'd sort of ask questions along that line to understand how we got here. Because United, I think, in most situations, no one's just cooking for anyone. You would have had to given them some sort of hints, especially. Do you know what I mean? I think you've probably been in situations in workplace. Not trying to call you out, I think, but you know, a female work colleague has said something to you, and you've picked up on a hint of something, and you've then done that as a gesture. It may not have meant nothing by it, but you're not just, something would have triggered that. So where's this come along? How did you get from a point of Jerome, my work colleague, to Jerome, the man that cooks my lunch and brings it home for me and my man? Why is he cooking so much? These are questions which we'd have to get to the bottom of, because it's not making sense to me. But I think that's a very unique example. I think I liked the other one more, the mechanic one. But either way, we would have got to that, and I would have said to her, okay, so where does Jerome's girlfriend work at? Let me go and take some food to her workplace. That's probably what I would have said to her.
So you
you know
petty.
I mean?
You know what you're saying? You're gonna be
Take
petty.
some, brother, I'm hella petty. I'd have taken some jollof.
I think he's hella petty, bro. Who's hella
Taking some
petty?
jollof.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've established the man them are not accepting this. Women are not accepting this. This is an established thing. I think we both established that this is something that we're not going to accept in relationships. I think that's pretty clear from both parties. Koji Milk, you wanted to add something? It's Koji Malik. You wanted to add something?
Oh, my phone crazy, got a crack. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, island men know. Island men know that's how they going at women sometimes. They be cooking that conch salad, cause my conch fritters. My mama ex-husband was Bahamian, and he loved to cook for his women. Them Jamaican men love to cook for their women. So when another island man hears somebody cooking for his woman, he know what's up. He already know. It's just underwritten. It's like the introduction.
Okay.
Kojo, let me just add something. As a Nigerian man, an island man cooking for my woman is a no-no, man.
you already know his intentions. He just draw the line in the sand and told you, "I want your woman, man."
Alright, I'm hearing you guys. Okay, I'm hearing you guys. Okay, so let me make some things clear then. Alright, cool. So I'm gonna say some statements. Okay, some statements, and then we're gonna discuss something. Okay. I'm going to say some statements. Okay, statement number 1. In your workplace, you spend a lot of time with this particular person. Statement number 2. You spend a lot of time together outside of the office. Statement number 3. You have chin wags, you gossip together, you exchange information, not necessarily about each other, but you exchange information a lot in your workplace. Statement number 4. In your workplace, they're one of the first people that you go to when anything happens. Number 5, you share work secrets together. You have no problem being honest with them. This is statement number 6. You have no problem being honest with them. Number 7, you have each other's back. No matter what happens, when it goes down, you already know what it is. It's Penny and Tony Stark. You understand? Avengers thing. All right. Number 8, at work parties, you guys hang out and you can chat. That's number 8. Number 9, they are on your mind outside of work. Number 10, you don't want them to meet your actual spouse. And number 11, you talk about them a lot. This is one of the maddest ones. I'm not gonna lie to you. Some of you people need to stop chatting people's names in your relationships. It's horrendous. Number 12, your teamwork is on a whole nother level. The chemistry, work-wise, banging. You understand? It works. And the last one, number 13, you speak your own language. You know what I'm saying? And the language meaning y'all have those little, you know what I'm saying, little moments where you're like, you know, you can do little facial expressions and you get each other. You know what I'm saying? You got some kind of langu. You know what I'm saying? You know what it is. You know what it is. My question is, I'm asking everybody just real quickly, there were 13 things on that list. I want everyone to be honest here. Now, how many of those things on the list does someone of the opposite sex at work tick off on that list? There's a question I'm asking. How many of those things, there were 13 on that list, but how many of those things does somebody at workplace of the opposite sex actually tick off? Okay. Emily, I'm going to go to you first.
Okay. How many does that apply to us in our current situation?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say, so from my past experience, I'm not working right now, but I would say like maybe one or two, meaning that you hang out with them and you kind of like hang out at like, work events or staff parties or stuff. And that's pretty much it. But like myself, I was always like hanging out with a group of people, but I've seen people kind of gravitating towards one another, and they were like one part was married, so, and that was iffy. So I would say not more than 1 and 2 in my past situations. Yeah.
Vix, talk to me. Out of those 13, how many are we ticking off here? Hypothetically speaking, by the way.
I mean, you can talk real life, and so in real life, no one ticks off all 13 things. I think that each work relationship that I have, each person has 1 or 2 of those things. So no one in totality, because if I have someone that fits all 13 of those things, that should be my fiance right now. I don't know why we're playing.
I'm hearing you. Life of Bodge. You heard the thing there, man. Opposite sex friendship in the office, man. Any of them tick the list there, bro?
I work from home. I only see my work colleagues on Zoom and Microsoft Team Meets and Google Meets, and I don't entertain. No, but I think in the past, what I will say is probably about 3 or 4. I think any time it got to more than that, there was always a shift in the dynamic, and it meant cut it off. Because I think men and women, I guess anyway, from the spectrum, like if I'm in a relationship, it doesn't work. I don't think it works the same. I think once you because I think women can kind of do that and still maintain some sort of, they can have the blinkers on and just probably look at it like this isn't an actual thing. There isn't something here. I think men, once you start seeing a certain level of things, you're either going to hide it from your partner. You're probably not going to share. I think it was the one about sharing things and the name comes up to your partner. You're not doing that because you start seeing things, you start feeling guilty, you start seeing things that are inappropriate. So personally, I think if it gets to about 4, and I'm most likely to cut that link off, and I'll back away.
Okay, I hear that. Okay, so just a few for you, Alex. You heard there was 13 there on that list, bro. How many would you say that the opposite colleague could be ticking off, man? Again, please don't out yourself. I don't want anybody to lose their relationships or marriage. This is hypothetically speaking. For any of those who have partners watching, this is hypotheticals. Thank you.
I would say when I've been in relationships, that only maximum maybe 4. Maybe 4 or 5 maximum. If you're going part like
chat for you guys,
you're together a lot. See, it's crazy. Wasn't one of them you think about them outside work?
See, those ones are too. Those are the ones that you throw out there just to make sure if anybody is on there, you're way too far. All right, but the other ones, The other ones. Yeah, go on.
No, because here's the thing, like I try to make a conscious effort not to cross certain boundaries, like because there's certain things like sharing inside jokes and thinking about them outside of work, and they're the first person you go to, and you got like when you get to that level, you're just that's cheating. I'm sorry, that's cheating. So, and the thing is, a lot of the time, it's very easy to try and to not be aware of it yourself, like to try and play it off as though you don't have a certain feeling for someone. It's like, and it's difficult because say I don't know, say there's a rough patch in your relationship, and then now becomes a thing of to get to work 10 minutes early just to file some papers, and next week you're consulting this person time and time again. Like personally, I try to say work colleagues are not only are they not like available in any romantic sense, they're literally my work colleagues, not my friends. Because when you start blurring the lines of your relationships in your life, that's when you get the drama, the mess. So no, personally, I'm not thinking about anyone at work outside of work.
I hear you on that. I mean, that's like I said, that's an extreme, and I don't want anyone to admit that.
But it's real. It's real.
Keep that to yourself, innit? Because I don't want you to out yourself if you've got a relationship. You're supposed to see that list and think to yourself, maybe I'm acting a bit mad. But I mean, I definitely think there's a few on that list that I think people might not be saying they're doing, but because now we know what we're talking about, they might have to just say, a couple numbers are not really on there that they're not doing. But when you're at work and that, and the meme comes true, and there's only one person in the office who's gonna understand that meme, it might be a different story. But I hear you. Oh, thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. Light. What's your thoughts? There's 13 that we put in there. We've got it in the chat as well. We've got 13 on the list there. So, what's your thoughts in regards to the 13 there? Is there a few that you might have experienced yourself when you were in the office with a potential opposite sex person?
Yeah, pretty much all of that. For the situation I shared earlier, I did have too many conversations that were a little bit deeper than they probably should have been. Actually, that wasn't even the problem when it comes to us talking a lot. It wasn't like deep conversations about my personal life. It was deep conversations about things that we had in common, and our points of view on things. And even when it came to disagreement, we had this sort of this really great banter that was fun and unintentionally flirty. And it's because sometimes you can be on an opposite side of a perspective with someone, and it's attractive that this person has so much of an opinion, and they're so intellectual about it. And that was the major thing for me. And then when I started thinking about him way too much outside of the office, it was, I had to determine for myself, and it took a while. I was, I didn't quite know that was happening at first. It was just, this happened at work, and it was funny, and we had this, something came up, and it made me think of the conversation. Then when I started to smile when I was thinking about him, I was like, I'm in trouble. So that was my experience. Is just to put a brakes on all of that.
Okay, I'm hearing you. Appreciate that, Light. Kojo Malik. I'm calling you Kojo Malik from now on. Kojo Malik. Yeah, what's your thoughts on this? We dropped the 13 in there.
0, okay. Only because
0.
I'm a nurse, and the men that work around me, most of them are gay. So, yeah. And the few that aren't, I don't really interact with them that much. So it's 0. But in the past, I probably would have had about 7, 8, or 9 on one job. But I'm in a safe profession. I'm a nurse, and I work with old people in nursing homes. So I'm just mostly interacting with gay males.
I understand. Okay. Here's a question for you, and probably I can ask the panelists and the ladies actually as well, and the man as well. Is there a need to have some type of masculine energy though? Is there a need for that in the workplace? You know, like to have that opposite energy running in the workplace, because unless it's like a solo woman's only environment, then you already know what you're coming into. But if it's a mixed environment, is it nice, should I say, you know what I'm saying, to have that opposite energy around you? So not necessarily they're doing anything and they're trying to get on you or anything, but is it nice to have that type of energy around you? Because you've mentioned about having potentially gay colleagues, so that around you a lot more, but is it nice to have the opposite sex straight and have that kind of energy in the workplace? Oh, I'm asking you, Coach Malik.
Yeah, I don't need that energy. I don't need no temptations and then like that. Maybe when I was younger, yeah, but now I'm just an old married lady and I believe in boundaries. So I would say when I was younger, yeah, but as I get older, I don't need all that stress. I don't need that drama. And I think you should be vigilant.
I'm hearing you. You know what? Next time we do a topic like this, everyone's going to come with a nickname and the camera's off, because then you can really be free about your answers. Because right now, it's evidence that are going to be put on the net, you understand? So I don't want them to out themselves, you know what I'm saying? We've got married people on here. I appreciate you, Coach Malik. Kia, talk to me, man. What are you saying? What's your viewpoints here, man? We're talking about the fact that there's 13 on that list. Yeah, there's 13 on that list. Do you have someone at work? Have you had someone? Let me put it that way so we know it's a past tense, so anybody's watching future out here. Have you had that in the past where somebody's doing a few things on that list from the opposite sex out here?
Kojo, see, I thought you was gonna ask me what you asked everybody else.
Oh no, darling.
So I'm with Vicky. I was in my car getting my Tim Hortons, and I was like, I gotta jump on. Let me get home. But all jokes aside, like when I was younger, it probably was all of them on the list. And I knew it was inappropriate, but you just trying, playing games, and I was trying to get a, rise out the boo, but it didn't end too well. So yeah, it probably was all of them, because manipulation, at its finest.
I love the honesty. Yes, love the honesty.
Do you want details? What happened?
I mean, I'm all here for the salaciousness, darling.
So my work boo, he sat next to me, and we work together 8 hours a day.
Come on now.
Or day we just cracking jokes, like you said, those looks that only we get the joke, we all the inside jokes, everything. So my work boo, we went to a wedding. So when he said, "Do you scared to meet the spouse?" So I got to bring my husband to the wedding. When I say husband, he's my husband now. So anyhow, so we at the wedding. So I didn't peep it, but he said my work boo touched my arm in a sensual type of way on the way out. I was like, no, he didn't. I was like, that man did not touch me. Now, Coach, in all honesty, to this day, I still don't believe it, or I didn't peep it. So maybe. So, make a long story short, the husband said that the work boo was, after me at the wedding. And he left the wedding, didn't even have a way home. This was before Uber. He was caught the bus home, and we live like real far. I'm like, what bus did you get on? He left.
He got so pressed.
So then the same work boo, I couldn't tell him, like the husband had a problem. I didn't tell him, like, the husband caught the bus home after the wedding. Because, you got to save face when you go back to work. I'm Kia. So I go back to work, everything. So I called in for like 3 days. The work group called and checked on me. Let's say I didn't have a phone.
You ashamed.
Listen, I'm glad I was different and reformed, guys. But it was like, I knew I was wrong, like 9 in my maturity that I grew up. But yeah, it would start off as a game. I really didn't even like the work boo like that. I just was like entertaining him. And it did work. Like I said, husband, he peeped, like he said, he touched you in a sensual way. I'm like, what? Then he just left me, Kojo.
I hear this. I love that. The honesty. I love that. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate it because I know that these work situations are awkward. This is why I want to have this conversation because I really do think I made it extreme, so I made it to the work husband, work wife, right? But I guess I want to bring it down a little bit then. But I'll let Stacey add last, and I'll bring it down a little bit and ask about some of our relations that we form in work anyway. But Stacey, welcome to the conversation. Good to see you. I know you was behind listening to all the convo.
Yeah, as much as I could. This is good stuff, y'all. Especially Kia. You're tripping, girl.
Kia with spice.
Hey, so listen, I guess at one point, and I have a husband too, but at one point, I'm just an open, honest person. So how I am around guys let's just go back to me being married. How I am around them when he's not there is how I am around him when he is there. I actually really don't like when people change up too much. I'm more suspicious of that. Now, I understand you may tone it down a little, but I'm a friendly person, even with women. It's just how I am. And I think he trusted that. So it's like I might touch his shoulder, do something. I'm talking about women, And so with guys at work, I might do it too. But then if he's there, I might not necessarily do that because he might think it's something, but I'm still going to laugh with him and all of that. But anyway, I did have one guy who called me his work wife. And eventually I just was like, well, whatever. But when I knew it was going too far, a new guy came and when he was introducing me and the other young lady, he was like, don't talk to her. He was like, that's mine. And I was like, oh, like you can't call me yours. What is your It was all fun and games. So you call me yours. So I was like, all right, maybe I need to kind of cut this, But yeah, I don't know. I think I might see a problem with it. I'm not really insecure, but I still think we're human, man. It's not, you see people and see they're nice looking, but you're not attracted to everybody because of their looks. But after you're around people, you might get the feeling them. So I'm like, I'd rather just not really do that because you just never know. So I'd rather keep it cool, because you might end up doing the Kia. I'm just saying. All right.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah, it is.
I'm definitely hearing what you lot are saying. I think. So I remember a situation. Okay, so the reason why I even remember this conversation about work wife, work husbands, because I remember when I was in the office. When I was in A office, let me put it in A office so that people don't know what office it was. I was in A office, and I remember a young lady, very very pretty. I was single at the time, so it's no skin off my back. But she was married, healthy married. Okay, but she was young. Okay, she was healthy married, but she was young. And we used to have our own little language. You understand? We had our own little language, man. We had our own little language. You understand? We had a certain looks, certain little hand signals, you know what I'm saying, that we knew how to communicate when people were in the same spot, right? But we had some behaviors which I am going to be honest with you. If I was in a relationship, I was cheating. If I was in a relationship, I was cheating. Because some of the hand touching that was going on, there was a movement that happened that was a light breeze upon my back of my neck, just a hand trickling on the back of my neck. Now I enjoyed it. I ain't gonna lie to you, because I am single and free to mingle. You know what I'm saying? I am not married. I'm not in a relationship at the time. I've got no problem, right? But I remember thinking to myself, damn, I'm glad I'm not in a relationship at this moment, because this behavior is enjoyable, but it's dangerous in the sense of the fact that I don't know how long it takes before we're the last ones left in the office and something stupid happens. I don't know how long before that gets to that point, right? Because obviously everybody respected the fact that, yeah, you go to your home, you do the this, etc., right? But we used to throw a lot of compliments around, like, "Hey, babe, you right?" Like, we used to throw a lot of compliments around. Listen, like, it was sweet while it lasted. I ain't gonna lie to you. We didn't go outside of work. I didn't think about the person outside of work. I know she had mentioned me to her partner, so they knew me as just Kojo. They just knew me as Kojo, the colleague. And I remember when she told me that she had mentioned me, and I said, "You shouldn't have done that. And I said, because the way men think, yeah, when you're mentioning this person's name a bit too much, the ears and antennas are starting to raise. They're asking questions in their head. They're going, who's that guy? Who's the guy that you keep talking about and keep busting jokes over? Like, that don't make no sense, right? And we had a WhatsApp group as well. So it wasn't just me. It was a whole bunch of us in WhatsApp group, right? But we're throwing in memes, jokes, everything like that. And so I realized, like, how quickly you can go from just being colleagues to being more. Now, when you go out on a night out and the drinks are flowing, I don't drink. I've never drunk, so it's not my kind of thing. I'm always sober. But people who drink, suddenly the walls come down. I remember we had one time we went out for drinks, yeah? And because I don't drink, I just had some waters, and they bought me some mojitos or whatever, non-alcoholic, right? Now, I've never had a conversation like this in my entire life. When the drink got in, the women were telling some truths about what they won't do. And I said, whoa. And this is when I realized also that I've never experienced black men being fetishized apart from this moment. This is the first time I ever felt. I've never, ever in my entire life ever seen or felt personally being fetishized before, right? I ain't gonna lie to you. Unlike women, I don't really care. I don't care. If you want to fetishize me, go for it. I enjoy it. Go for it. I'm single. I ain't gonna try and... I got no problem, right? But the way they spoke about black men, I said, what? I said, what in the... Where am I? I said, goddamn. I said, these people are here. They're trying to capture someone for the night. That's what it sounded like. They sound like they want to catch someone for the night, have one dirty night, and then just don't talk about it again. And what I realized about the office is a lot of people do this. So forget black men in general. In the office, a lot of people have their one night stands, which go into long-term affairs within the office. So you realize how much these things can happen, and it happens so quickly, and that's why I'm like, I understand why the work husband work wife is not something that people like, because it's part of that behaviors of, it's part of those behaviors where I say it's innocent, but it gets real guilty real quick, because people do stuff that if their partner was there would never happen. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we used to have a... maybe not, because that would bait. Now, I can't say that. If the person ever watches, they'll notice them. But we used to have a term that we used to say to each other. And it would be like... And so I just realized that, okay, cool. If I was in a relationship, I will be scared to be in this office because the boundaries get crossed so quickly. And, yeah, before you know it, you're somewhere deep that you shouldn't be. But let me answer this question for you guys. Let me get you back into the conversation. Let me get you guys back in the conversation. Let me ask this question. Let me get my questions up. Okay. So, I'm gonna ask this question. Is there conversation though that you have with a work colleague that you couldn't have with your partner? Is there work conversations that you have with your colleague that you couldn't have with your partner? And does your partner even want to know about your work stuff? This is even another question added to that. But first question is, oh boy, should you be having those type of conversations with a work colleague where you are discussing extensively your work stuff? And could you share that kind of work stuff with your partner? Would your partner even ask them kind of questions around work and stuff like that? Is that a violation to do so, to share those details consistently, or have conversations out of work about work with your work colleagues? Is that a situation as well? Like, I wanted to kind of get you guys kind of perspective on that, whether that would be an issue. Stacey, since you're last to talk, I'll let you go first. Is that an issue for you? Would your partner understand all the work stuff that you want to discuss? Is there a need to bring that home and stuff as well? Like, do you feel like...
Well, so I was with my ex almost 2 decades, so I really use him. I would say, so first of all, I've worked in a school district for 21 years, so I'm mostly around women, around teachers. And then most of them have been white. The guy I was referring to, he's black, and there were like 2, maybe 3 more black men. So I don't think he was really that worried. However, the guy that called me his work wife, there were a few conversations he probably wouldn't have really wanted me to have with this guy. But you know,
It's true though.
like,
It's true. I hear you.
do that. Like, I'm sure he had plenty.
This is. Thank you. This is the conversation we're gonna have. This is a good conversation. Go on, sis.
Yeah. So,
now we're talking some truths.
Right. The one that we had, I'm sure it wouldn't have. So what it is, I'm Muslim, but the guy, he was non-denomination, but he kind of identified more with Islam, whatever. So we would talk about religion, different things. And so one day we had been talking about food, and he was talking to my other coworkers too, women. And he would be like, look, sis, talking to all of us, y'all need to stop eating red meat. Y'all need to do this. Y'all need to do that. And so one day I said, listen, I said, you know, y'all killed me saying all that stuff. Because he'll say, like, well, you know, it's in the Quran, it's in the Bible, blah, blah, blah. I said, is there anything in the Quran or Bible about going in somebody's butthole? I said, because men, y'all want to do all kinds of stuff. I said, and y'all don't be thinking about no Quran and Bible then. I was like, so let me enjoy my meat, and then you can enjoy your meat. How about that? After that, he was like, I'm done. I will not ever say that to you again. Yeah, let me enjoy my food.
Stacy with a madness.
So he probably wouldn't want me to have that conversation, but I did. So,
I hear that. Do you know what? You've touched on something which actually I think that's the crux of my conversation on what you wanted to get to. I couldn't answer the question properly, so I'll ask it again. Is every conversation you have with work colleagues something that you could have a conversation with your partner watching that conversation? So if your partner wasn't there, the kind of conversations you have with your colleagues, could you have that same conversation with your partner there? This is a conversation I want to ask. That's a question I want to ask. Could you have that same conversation if your partner was there at the workplace? That's a real question to everybody else. Okay. Hypothetically speaking, for those who are in a relationship, please.
I'm going to finish and be brief. You're going to have conversations with your sisters, your girlfriends, your guy friends. Everybody's going to have those kind of conversations without their partner anyway. So unless you're like really like disrespecting your partner, I don't see anything wrong with, come on, like seriously, who hears or needs to hear or know every single conversation? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes he needs to talk to his guys, and I'm sure everything they say is not something he would want me to hear. And I'm not even talking about cheating, just in general. It's not something you're going to want me to hear. So, you know, that's my take on it.
I like that point. Okay. Emily, you opened your mic. Sorry, and I closed it. You want to answer the question?
Yeah. Sometimes it's not really the conversation itself, but the body language. Like if, let's say you were recorded or filmed and your partner could see the interaction without hearing it. And if they're, because you know the body language when there's a vibe or you're feeling somebody. I was thinking of a particular situation a long time ago. I was working at this, I'm not going to say where, but I was working at this office place, and there was a vibe, let's say, between me and one of the associates. And nothing we would say, everything, like all our interactions were above board. Like if his wife, because I was always single in that scenario, if his wife was there, or if anybody else would to be around us, there was nothing out of bound, but there was a vibe. Definitely it was a situation like at work parties when he was coming in. There was like this playful kind of banter. It was, so it doesn't really have to be something specific that you talk about that's intimate. It's just the way that you're interacting with that person, that if, let's say, his wife would have to be there, it would have been a problem. There was a conversation, I remember at this time, and I'm going to try to change the things around because anyways, I want to protect that person's privacy. Like because I was a receptionist at that time, and basically he was calling, and to me, I was thinking, okay, let me just have this on speakerphone so
because my colleague and slash supervisor was there, and I didn't want to have anything to reproach myself. But there's something that he said. He said something along the lines of like, oh, if people would be, I don't know, like listening into what we would say, they would be thinking that we're crazy, or it was something real intimate. Like, and then I quickly muted the phone. Like I just like and took the receiver just so that it was like, okay, I need to cut that conversation right there. And so it wasn't anything particular that we were saying, but already that was too intimate between like him and I. And so I say to this again, it's not always what you say, but how you say it. And if you are interested in that person, because at that point I had feelings for that person, and it wasn't appropriate, you know? So yeah, it's the interaction, it's the vibe, it's the energy that you have when you're around that person. I think that you, let's say you would be at a work event, a partner would pick up on it and you would change your behavior so they wouldn't pick up on that. Yeah.
That was surreal. I love that. That was some realness right there. Hopefully that will free some people up. No, jokes. That was real. That was real. It was real. It was real. You know what I mean? I definitely agree with you. Definitely agree with you on some of the points you made there as well. People do switch up. So, yes. Who wants to go next? Who wants to talk about this? Like, could you have the same conversations that you have with your colleagues that you had around with your partner life abroad? Thanks for turning your camera on. Go for it.
Hi. I actually, my thought about it is you were asking about the types of conversations that you might be able to have with this person at the office that you.
Not necessarily types, but I mean, the kind of question I'm asking is in a sense of, is every conversation we're having with a colleague something that we would be okay with our partner being a witness to? It's almost like the whole thing with Jesus. You know what I mean? Like that same thing.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because my original thought then was, that there are conversations that some people can't have with their spouses because of, sort of everyday life, right? If you're with a partner who is wanting to sort of focus on life right now and we're moving forward, a person in a situation where they're having a close relationship with somebody outside of that, whether it be work or elsewhere, if they're confiding in them about things like their more deep-seated dreams, like I wanted to do this, and if I wasn't married, I would do this, and my spouse doesn't understand that this is my dream. I wanted to pursue, a certain type of vocation that I'm not in right now. I wanted a career that I was passionate about. I'm in this job, and my wife doesn't get it. She doesn't really want to hear it because she's all about we need to, keep moving forward to pay the bills. If the person is not being supported and they're able to get that support for something so deep from their friend at work, that is an issue. But that's a need that is actually having to be filled. So that's hard because there is still a line there. I mean, maybe this is just a person that is open and empathetic, and they can, you can just confide in them. I'm that type of person. I can be that type of person without crossing a line. However, with all of the other aspects that you were talking about, of there's a little bit of attraction, there's a little bit too much closeness. The more you have these conversations that you can't have with your spouse, the closer you are to this person here at work. And then to go now to the question that you asked that you clarified for me is, yes, you can wind up having conversations with that person at work that is a little bit too close. That sort of speaks to what Emily was talking about. You wind up having conversations that may not mean anything. You could talk about baseball and it could still be flirty. You could, talk about, I had to, drain my pipes at home and it could be flirty. So if you're winding up with that type of behavioral interaction, that's a problem too. The problem is that, mainly when you're in it, you don't know that you've crossed the line sometimes because it's so gradual. But at some point you have to say, if you're in a situation like Emily described, you wind up at an event where your spouses are involved and then you have to switch up your behavior, you need to start thinking about that. whether or not you're willing to continue, because you now have recognized you crossed the line. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to put the brakes on, or are you so deep, or don't quite have that discipline at that moment to put an end to it? Is that person in your life more of a priority than not disrespecting your spouse? My thoughts.
Go for it.
I definitely have some conversations at work that you don't want your husband to have, because they conversations with girlfriends. Actually, by literal, it's just girl talk. We work 12 hours at nighttime in a nursing home. We're gonna have some combos, so you probably wouldn't want to hear, but not no one-on-one conversations, and mostly with other people. But yeah, honesty is not always the best policy. Sometimes omission is. Everybody don't need to know everything. And it's just because, as people, you're like, you shouldn't really be having that conversation at work. So you just don't tell them, but not no one-on-one. I've really enjoyed this panel, and I'm going to drop down and let somebody else come in. Y'all, I have a good one. I'm going to listen from the clouds.
Appreciate you, Coach Malik, man. Appreciate it, man. I quit calling you Coach Malik. Appreciate you. Love for that, man. Love for that. Yeah. Who's next? What's the ad? Who's next? Hey, go. Kay going, and then Vix. I saw your hand, so you can go after. Go for it, Key.
Okay. So I'm gonna piggyback off what Kojo said. What would Jesus do? So certain conversations, that is not appropriate. So if you know that your spouse was sitting right there, you wouldn't have that conversation, then maybe you should not. There are just certain things. I'm a single woman right now. Before we were sent home or whatever, I sat next to a guy. We can kick it hee hee ha all day long about, work stuff. And even sometimes, because our job is like never ending, so we're always working kind of. So we would still sometimes like call each other after work. But if his wife ever picked up his phone or, whatever, it's nothing personal. It's like work stuff like, hey, I'm having a problem analyzing this, or what do you think about this? So it was never anything that crossed the lines. So I'm going to tell y'all where that line get blurry at. So if he ever come to work and start saying, my wife just don't believe in me, I'm about to cut it short. Because if I ever meet your wife, I don't want to, because see, once you open that door, people keep on going. So I think he do have, he probably have messed around on the job, but when he seen that I cut it short, like I'm not having it, he like kind of like, she just gonna keep it professional. So with that being said, when y'all start getting into personal stuff, even when y'all say like about the female thing, there's certain things you shouldn't share about your spouse, period, because that's that intimate space between you and your partner. There's counseling all day long. You just got to talk to somebody, because whenever you have a partner, when the stuff go left or whatever, your friends and people are looking at your partner sideways. So I'm not going to break that intimacy with my husband talking about to the guy next door, because I don't know what his motives is. I don't know where he coming from. And again, that's my husband. He trusted me with these things. So if we come in fighting or whatever, I'm not about to tell you. I'm just gonna be like, hey, just a little down today. And I just think that there are certain conversations that you shouldn't have with your male co-workers, period. Like I said, we can talk all day long, Kojo, about work. He can call me, we text each other, and he's my gossip partner, because when the shade come, we be like, did you just see that? She just sent that email, and we looking around our, his office, we bag the chairs out, but that's all it was. So again, y'all have to be careful about when y'all cross those lines and start talking about the intimate things about your partner, because just protect your partner.
Good points. Vix, what you saying? Then I'm gonna get live for budging.
All right. So the only thing I have to say is now there's nothing that I share at work, and although I've been working from home for like the last 18 months, that I can't with my coworkers that I don't share with my partner. Everything that I want to like gossip about, I gossip with my partner at night over the phone, right? And so he's like kind of my confidant. But prior, I would say probably 2 years ago, I did have a work husband who was like also my trainer, who worked at my job. So So, like, he called me, like, work-wise. He was my work husband. And, you know, he was on the 17th floor because the gym was on the 17th floor. I worked on the 16th floor. So he would come down on his break. We would chit-chat, and it would be fun. And this was prior to the relationship I am in now. Just to make that clear. But, yeah, make it clear, real clear. But, you know, it was like a good time. We were both single. We were both like, you know, semi-flirt. You know, he would train me. We would work out with other groups of people together. And it was fun in that moment. But he actually moved locations, right? And so he hit me up like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, I'm just so you know, the plan we made when I was single to get married in 5 years is null and void. Go find you somebody because I'm now in a relationship.
So sad. So sad.
So that's how I feel about it. 2 years ago, I probably, if I were in a relationship, I would not have shared that with my partner because, again, I was immature back then in my thinking. But now, again, setting boundaries with who I allow in my life, what types of conversations we're having while we're at work. Like, if I can't talk about it with my partner, like right after it happens, then I'm not going to talk about it with somebody else.
I'm hearing that. Thanks, Vix. Life of Bodge, what are you telling me, bro? Was there conversations, you know, without outing yourself, bro? Like, is there conversations that we guys? Is that? I mean, I don't know. Everyone's saying that, you know, but I'm thinking to myself, bro. I've been in the office, bro. Married people be talking the wickedness, bro. And I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, what are you saying?
All I can say for me is I plead the fifth, but honestly, I think for me, it's funny because listening to a lot of the lady stories, I can resonate and think this is exactly why I don't share my personal business, my intense relationships with people at work that aren't necessarily my friends, because you develop relationship, you develop that sort of closeness with it, and before you know it, you've told too much information. So I can kind of understand that. I think for me, I just don't really do it. It's just where I am as a person. It's not necessarily because I'm consciously thinking about not doing that. It's just the way in which I build relationships. You're gonna have to get in close before that happens. And if I'm sharing details of my personal relationship, then boy, it better be all good, because all I'm doing is inviting something. And do you know what I mean? Later on, I remember having a situation where a colleague of mine used to tell me sort of details about their relationship. They were in a relationship where it was so clear that them and their partner wanted two different things in life. And you're like,
it's awkward.
You know how it is with women, like they want you to listen. They don't want you to necessarily give them the advice. But in my mind, I'm like, leave him. I can't really say it, you know. I just had to listen. And so I was just giving advice like, well, look, it clearly looks like you guys want two different things. So, you're going to probably have to at some point make a decision that's coming up this length of time, have you spoken to him about this? And she'll say, no. Well, why are you talking to me about it? Those kind of things. And then I remember getting the wedding invitation. And it was like, okay, this is weird. Apparently he didn't want to ever get married. I don't understand why I'm being invited to this wedding. Those kind of things. And already I've developed a negative view of her partner and their relationship, when in the end, it seems like they're going on a path that she wanted. But in my mind, I'm now questioning it. So things like that, I think, are very particular. I think I was quite different, because most of the working environments I've worked in, predominantly white offices, and people are predominantly white. So the way in which I develop relationships, especially with opposite sex in those kind of environments, tend to just be, you're at cafe, and then necessarily people that are my age or around, do you know what I mean? It's not always the same. So it's that level. But then I've been worked in other environments where it's predominantly sort of black and ethnic minorities. And
And I think one of them, just because of the role that I had, people that are around my age, I was put in a higher position. So you have a bit of power, especially with the opposite sex. It's more attractive in terms of that environment. So your interactions, you have to be very mindful about how things are going. And it's not just for me. It wasn't just it was more from a professional standpoint. Around the PAs, there's a big thing about with PAs and stuff like that, of how the perception. And I'm saying there was quite a few PAs that were playing with some sisters, and you know what I mean. So you have to be kind of careful how you go about things. So that type of situations that I found myself in that particular environment, where my role obviously meant that people wanted to get to know you, that kind of thing, the same age, whatever. There was always a level of detail I was like, I didn't really engage in, simply because I didn't want the stress. Because I know how I am. So if I'm in a relationship, hell no. If not, I may, you know what I mean? But then you find it's very awkward, a line to blur. So yeah, for me, I advise people, man, don't share too much information about your relationships, especially if there's something you intend to stay in. You then have to introduce maybe some work colleagues to your partner, and they're kind of looking at them a certain way in the picture that you paint. It's the same with your friends in the early stages. If all you ever talk about is negative about a partner, you can't really bring them around your friends and expect their perception to change. So yeah, that's it for me.
Appreciate Life Bodge. Appreciate good points there. You know, it's interesting. I think people do share a lot of their relationship stuff. Maybe it's just me, and I think people just share a lot of their relationship stuff. So I almost sympathize with people, because I know sometimes they're going through a lot of things, and sometimes I think somebody wants a fresh perspective. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes you're the randomer, right? To that person. So sometimes we want to share some stuff that they're thinking about. But I definitely agree with you that sometimes when people and that's what people overshare, where they're sharing too many negative aspects about their relationship and then expecting the person to come with a positive outcome. Like, brother, I'm gonna look at it negative because you give me all the negatives. So yeah, I think the office is one of those places where it can get blurred real quickly in terms of people sharing information and sharing stuff about their relationships and stuff like that. Alex, hit me up, man, bro. We're talking about, obviously, the fact that, is there conversations that you have with people at work that you wouldn't be having with your partner? You know what I mean? It's an office, yeah. The office is Clubhouse. That is what it is. The office is Clubhouse. It is the Clubhouse physically, because there's conversations that come up that you are like, wow, are you not discussing this? But yeah, go on, bro. Is there any kind of is there such thing as that, where you have conversations with people at work that you wouldn't necessarily have with your partner or your partner around?
Personally, no, because I can't compartmentalize work relationships, because I know that gossip spreads at work, and especially when you're in a relationship, the last thing you want to have going around is, oh, did you hear Nick did this with her? Oh. Next thing you know, your wife's rocking up at your workplace.
On crud.
Just no surprise. And personally, I don't think there's any conversation I've had with a colleague. I was thinking about it whilst we were all saying things. I don't think there's any conversation I've had with a work colleague that I wouldn't be comfortable sharing with any partner that I had. Even when I've been single, like, I don't think there's any conversation, because I think as guys, and this is where it's tough, because there's another double standard. Like, as guys, it tends to be attractive to women when a lot of people like us. But as men, because we're territorial with our women, we don't really like women that are too friendly. we don't like it when the girls are too friendly. Well, personally, I don't anyway. And I know that other guys would share the same sentiment as me. But yeah, Even like when I've been flirting and just little things like that, I haven't done anything too wild because I always imagine every conversation I have at work being broadcasted to just everyone. I picture it in my head. Just imagine what you're saying going around to say 4 or 5 other people, and then once you have that kind of mentality about it, it becomes a lot easier to navigate conversations with people. So yeah,
Okay.
personally, no. It's interesting. When I was reading Malcolm X's autobiography once, I was reading there was a section there where it was saying the men, when they went to sex workers, the sex workers would often know more about the husbands than their wives, and I was like, that's crazy. How can this guy go in to get one service, know more about your wife than you do? Because a lot of the time with men, we can't have certain conversations with our partners because the dynamic doesn't allow the conversation to flow properly because as a guy you're thinking about it very deeply. You're thinking about how she's going to react to it, all these different aspects of the conversation. Whereas women tend to be more open about absolutely everything that's on their minds. They can just say, "Oh, I'm feeling cold. I don't feel very comfortable with you speaking to this person." They tend to be more transparent about their feelings about things. Whereas guys, we like to stay level headed, so we don't always like to be as vocal about everything we're feeling. So it's difficult. It's not simple. It's not a simple thing.
I hear you. I hear you. I think you open up some really key things. Maybe there's a live we can do about, is there difficulty in communicating men? Is there difficulty communicating with our spouses sometimes when we want to be able to have some real conversations? And sometimes we overthink it, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Or,
Obviously,
this is a real
the things
conversation.
guys do, the extent they go to, it's mad. It can be
Okay.
wild.
Laughable said, he said, he said, they're exposing secrets, bro. Listen, but no, I think that's a real conversation we might have to have. I think a man, them, we need to have a conversation like that. We'll get the ladies involved too as well. But we'd love to have a good conversation around that in terms of the stuff that we want to be able to say, but we can't say. You know what I'm saying? I think that'll be a good live. Not you don't need to tell us what you actually would like to say. Please say that for your partner. But we're saying in terms of just general, other things that we couldn't talk about in a relationship and why does that happen. It's a good point. I like that. Anu, you're involved involved. I know you're here. I know you like to smoke everybody whenever you're on the panels.
No
We're
smoke.
just kind of talking about, is there something that you could say, like we're talking about work, husband, work, wife, is there something that you could say is there something that you've said, or have you ever been in a position where you've said something to someone, and it doesn't have to be about a relationship, it just be a conversation that per se, potentially, that if your partner's here, that might not be the best line of inquiry of a conversation to go with?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think my last work wife that I could say I had like a couple years ago.
Wait,
Oh,
pause.
yes,
Last work wife.
last work wife. Yes,
Wait.
yeah.
Why are you saying it like you have so many work wives, bro?
I mean, so the last was terrible, but yeah. I felt like there were times where she would share like intimate details about herself where I'm like, okay, like I know we're friends and whatever, trust tree, whatever, but I feel like crossing the line. Like I want to divulge that information to you. But we kind of grew a good friendship, a good rapport, and it was kind of easier having someone that you almost like I would say a best friend that you could bounce topics off to of topics. I think it's these type of relationships are beneficial when both parties have understanding of what they want to get out of it. I'm not looking to date her, and vice versa. She's not looking to date me. But again, we can have open relationship and have a whole bunch of discussions about crazy things. Like I'm not sure how vulgar we can get here, but like we're talking about menstrual cycles. We're talking about like guys. We're talking picking up at the bar last night. They weren't going away. People blowing up their phones. What I do about this chick that I can't get out. It's like having someone at work where at that time of day like you're thinking about. It's like, do I not sound crazy?
Oh boy, you better.
While I'm crazy, but not sound crazy, that can verify that or not verify that. To me, I think it's a good thing. So not knocking the work. I mean, not knocking the work husband, work wife, unless when it's done correctly.
Oh.
Okay, I want to add to Uno because he, just started something. If both of them single, yeah, you can have work wife, work husband. But if one of the parties is not single, then.
All right, so that's what to me that's where judgment has to come into. Like again, like if you're not gonna be able to talk to that person or meet that person, that a significant other, or they're unaware of you, then again you can't carry that relationship on. But if that person knows who you are and he is not threatened by it, then that's the same thing. Again, my current or whatever you want to call it. She's in a relationship now. She introduces me to her actual boyfriend. I'm like, hey, look, hey, I'm the work husband, work wife. I know my role. I'm stepping back, and vice versa. Like we chat from time to time. He knows who I am. Like if she ever has a question where she can bounce off of, she knows she's gonna be one of the first people that's gonna tell me to. If it's not her, because again, we're both in the medical profession, so again, she can bounce any topic off me. Versus her actual boyfriend right now, I'm like, maybe he doesn't understand what she's going through at that particular moment. So again, when both people are equally yoked, it can work out. When they're not, or it's like anyone has like nefarious actions behind that, then things can go south. Again, I wanted to step away. I'm like, hey, look, you have a boyfriend. Like, I don't want to be around here. I don't want the drama. But again, she ain't trying to let me go. So what do you want me to do? She brought me in. I'm brought in the circle. So again.
Yo, Ollie be killing me, bro.
So.
But I try to leave, but she won't let me go. I go moving like Pharaoh Moses. I hear you, bro. And you know what? You lot got me thinking now. You got me thinking because I remember a situation that happened, but I never at the time. Only now am I thinking about that. Raw. This could have been a bit of a situation. I didn't think of it. So there was in one of the offices that I worked in over the years, I had I would say a work wife, whatever, right? Now she had a partner. She too was married. Listen, I keep ending up with work wives that are married. She was married or whatever, right? And she treated me really good though. Like, I mean, she covered for me, and I mean, listen, I had some moments, bro, at the workplace. So when she covered me, yeah, like I was mad grateful. You understand? And I remember I said to myself, no, I'll do something nice for her, like, because that level of coverage, I appreciate it, man. I could have been out the job, you know what I'm saying? So obviously the way she covered me, yeah? So at Christmas time, I went out and I bought some gifts. Now listen, it's a big thing for me to buy gifts. Because I ain't buying gifts. I don't like buying gifts. It's not my kind of thing. I don't rate it. If you buy me a gift, I appreciate it, but it's not a big deal for me, right? So I went out and I thought about it. Let me buy some gifts. I remember we had spoken. She wanted, I know she likes games and stuff like that, blah, blah, and she likes a little bit of a drink and stuff like that. So I went and bought her some shot glasses. I went and bought her some games and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. And I remember when I bought it for Christmas. So we did the Secret Santa. And then I bought a gift on top of that. Do you understand? Yay! Because honestly, the way she saved me, listen, brother, man would have been out of the job. You understand? Listen, she saved my life. So I bought an extra gift, and I remember what she said. She said, "Thank you so much. You know what? My boyfriend never buys me nothing. Oh, sorry, my husband never buys me nothing." And when she said that, I was like, "Oh, he should just buy you some gifts. It's not a big deal." Rah 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 rah. I've not clocked it though in my head until now. You guys have said it that, yo, that's a violation, because actually this could end up becoming a beef, because if he doesn't buy nothing and then I've gone and decided to buy something at Christmas time on top of the Secret Santa. So she got Secret Santa and then got something on top of it. This could have been an issue, and I just deeped it out until you said it. I was like, yo, that's a violation. But at the time I wasn't thinking that. I was just thinking to myself, nah, because she blessed me, like. I really do appreciate if people do something for me. I really want to go above and beyond for you as well. Do you know what I'm saying? But now I'm deep and I'm like, that was dangerous, because you know what I'm saying. Anyway, listen, it's a mezzanine. Last question I'm going to ask people, because it's getting a bit late now. So last question I'm going to ask you guys. Last question. Oh, someone said, what's going on? What's only going on? It's got deep. Only they want to know why you've been talking about monthly cycles, bro. I mean, you weren't bro. You became a work practitioner, wife, nurse, everything for this person. What happened?
Look, I'm in medicine, so I understand these things. So again, these conversations, like, okay, I know, but I don't want to have them. especially with other people of the gender. But
No, your mic can't
like
break
when
up,
the
bro.
information is being told to me, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm of course saying TMI all the time, but hello.
Yeah, you're good.
Again,
Go on,
like
go on, do it.
these TMI symptoms happen all the time. Like I'm trying to check out. Okay, so we're talking. I mean, medicine. I'm in medicine, so again, all those type of stuff again doesn't freak me out because I studied blah blah whatever. But at the same time, like I don't want to know this information about people I talk about with. However, my work life is like, okay, we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about everything. We're gonna talk about this. So I had to suck it up and take one for the team. Now, I think my situation is gonna be a lot different than everybody else's, but at the same time, it's like what we both wanted inside our work life relationship is what we both got out of it. We have an amazing friendship. We can talk about pretty much anything and everything. I mean, we went to the bars. She'd be like, "Okay, you should talk to this girl, not this girl right here. This is what she'd be doing." Vice versa, giving her no advice. Like, I don't know why you're talking to this guy for the past month. And, what's happening. So again, it's just one of those things. If both people get exactly what they want out of it, it's fine. But however, you don't want to disrespect other people. If you're becoming a hidden secret again, things can start moving mad. You have to know when to bow out. But first, I'm like, yeah. So I'm just. I'm throwing tea on myself today, so.
I hear you, bro. It's real. Okay. Okay. So my last question to you guys, I guess, then is, what is define for me what is intimate details about your life or relationship that may be too far to discuss with a work wife or work husband, or is there even a level? Is there a level that is not too far? I mean, like, that's the question we're asking. So is there, just tell me, is there a level that of intimate or personal detail or relationship detail that is too far to share with a work friend, work spouse, work husband, whichever one, because some of us are not doing work. Is there a level that's too far to share with such and such colleague or friend at work? That's the question I want to ask you guys. It'll be the last question for today. Life of Bodge, since you one of the last, take us away.
Yeah, sure. I think it'd be different for different people. I would say it's anything your partner wouldn't feel comfortable with you sharing. So I think something like, okay, your partner lost their job. The partner's like a man, he's unemployed, yeah. He hasn't got a job, hasn't. You're laughing, bro. This is serious thing, It happens, So let's say your partner lost his job, and it's been a while, and then you're just ranting, I wish you could really just go and get a job. You're telling him this, like, he hasn't been able to do this in months, those kind of things. You're saying these kind of things are like, it's one of those things that may be sensitive to your partner. That may not be something that he'd want you to share with people. There's those kind of things, I think. Let's say on a woman's side, I don't know, let's say something about her weight or something like that. And you're saying things like, oh, I've told her she needs to lose some weight. You're telling another woman that. Would your partner be comfortable with the fact that you share these type of things? I think it's the tone, right? Could you say this to your partner's face as well? Those kind of things. Would you say in the tone that you say it? Would you share your frustrations in that way with your partner, or would you layer it and sort of beat around the bush? Things that you're freeing up. I know, I get it. People have things that they share with their friends. That it's their frustrations that they can't say to the partner. But it's a dangerous place, isn't it? Because I mean, when I was younger, I think fresh out of university, looking for a job in it, and at the time I was seeing this girl, and you know what I'm saying? You're trying to get a job, so I'm trying to get a job now. And then I remember we went to a party, and then you get them friends with the big mouth. I know, yeah. In front of everyone, she's like, "Oh, so how's your job search going? I heard you don't have a job." I was like, "Do you know what I'm saying?" Like, it's the way she said it as well, and it was just very loud. I think if it was like a private conversation, I don't think it would have bothered me. I think I would have just been like, okay, well, I didn't know you knew, but it's the way she said it. It was who said it, someone that I don't talk to. So I remember it was something like that, and it was a conversation later when I was like, "Yo, man, like, what's going on? It's only been like I only graduated last month. Like, why are you sharing this level of detail?" It seems very, even the way it was said, it's like I had to wonder, was this an issue for you, or is this what you're thinking about? Because you're still in university. Like, why why are you going to tell other people this information? You're still in university. Why is this a big deal? Like, is it like, oh no, it wasn't a big deal. I just shared it because I know that's what you're going through. And I'm like, well, I think I would prefer if you didn't share that type of information with people in that sense, especially someone who has no filter. I don't really know too tough. I wouldn't share my business with this person. So I think things like that. And also, when it's issues of the opposite sex, I don't know, maybe as a guy's perspective, if I was a single guy, whatever, maybe I would be using some of this information against another.
You know the deal, boy.
I can't lie. That's all that registers in my head a lot of the time, because I know what I would do if I was that guy on the other side. You tell me that whatever let's say the deepest intimates, which is sex, yeah. You're sharing these things, then I might start telling stories about stuff I do with girls. I play it. Do you know what I'm saying?
You know the deal, McCoy.
It's one of those things where you're playing up. Now she's kind of conflicted. Oh, he doesn't do that. She's comparing. She's taking notes between what you say. And there's ways in which you tell certain stories. It may not directly be hinting to between you two, but there's things you say. Do you know what I mean? The way in which I talk to other women in the office. Oh, you're liked. You know what I mean? There's you have I'm building a certain rapport with multiple women, and she sees that it seems similar, but she's in a relationship, so she's not getting. I'm not showing an interest. I haven't confirmed it. I'll be honest, isn't it? These are things which we do.
Break down the game, bro. Break down the game.
These are things which we do. These are things which men do. These are things, and a lot of things which I think within relationships. I think the straightaway thought is I wouldn't cheat in it. That's, I think, for a lot of women, it's not going to get to having sex, but there's the emotional cheating that goes on, the little playful, you know what I'm saying, way of doing things and stuff like that. Everybody's got like the work chats on your work PC. Those little messages that you send to your work colleagues and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Throughout the day. So these are things which in my mind, I just know the way guys are. Let me just be real. I know the way guys are, and I know the way in which a lot of the time, as a single man, what you would do when a woman feels very comfortable, and you can see maybe in her relationship isn't necessarily going how she would like.
That's right.
And she's confiding in you because she's trying to she's actually looking for a way out, and you can help her provide the way out. So yeah, I'll be real with you. That's just my thoughts. I'm not even gonna lie. It's not a good thing. I've seen it on both sides. On both sides of the spectrum, there are things which I know I'm not comfortable with, and it's just because I think that's more so for me. It would be things which would embarrass me. Would be things which I would not feel comfortable with. But I think on the other side, I think it's things which are breaking points in a relationship that someone can use against you or use against your partner. Do you know what I mean? I think these are things which I think people sometimes don't realize that not everybody has your best intentions at heart. They may be your so-called friends and stuff, but given the chance, they're gonna smash if you've done the opportunity to smash. Honestly, I think that's just things we need to bear in mind. Yeah, that's it for me.
I hear that, bro. Listen, bro, we're gonna be honest with you. The ladies need to know. Listen, if I wasn't Christian, oh, I would ruin a lot of you lot's relationships. I would ruin it. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna be honest with you. Listen, the amount of times that you confess all your lot stuff to me, I would be using it as just ammunition to break your relationship, or at least do what us guys do. We'll borrow you. We don't need to take you away from your man. We just need to borrow you, then send you back. Like, yo, the information people shed out sometimes is mad. Like, it's you got to be so careful if you don't know. And this is why it's almost like a you got to be very careful because you don't know who you're selling information to. Do you know what I'm saying? Thank God for the change, but I'm just saying, like, it's you got to know who you're sharing this information with, because what you just said there is apart from is about how sometimes when you're becoming the predator, the hunter, and how you use informations to provide breaks and chinks in the armor. You're trying to find ways to disrupt the protection over the house.
Jailbreak.
It's your jailbreak. That's the correct word. You're jailbreaking. You know what I mean? And that information's part of that jailbreaking that some guys who are on the predator thing are gonna use. You know what I'm saying? So ladies, be careful what you share with the man them, because the man them not always got your best interest at heart. But you ladies already know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, talk to me, man. What's your thoughts? Well, this is the last question we're asking now. Last question we're asking. I even forgot what the last question is. What's too intimate? What's too personal, information wise, sharing with somebody who's a work husband, work wife, work friend, whatever, colleague? What is the kind of information that's too intimate, too personal to be sharing with that particular kind of person?
Well, I agree with what you and Life of God just said, is that you don't want to, from a woman's perspective, you don't want to share a lot of what is going wrong in your relationship with someone with a male that you're close to in any other environment, work or otherwise. Because once again, what it is that you are not getting from your relationship, you are now seeking validation of your feelings from another person, and you are unwittingly, maybe don't realize you're doing it, but you're seeking fulfillment from someone else. And that is where it can get really it can start crossing the line right there. I mean, talked a lot about all of the different things that are innocent things, sort of, that can become something more. But if you are sharing things about your spouse that's demeaning to your relationship, you're kind of allowing the door to be open. You're almost like sort of creaking the door open a little bit. It's like, to a certain extent, what you're doing. There are just certain people that you don't want to confide in that way, even if they feel to you like they're responding to your needs. You have to take into consideration what's the priority for you. If you have those kinds of issues, talk to your actual friends, your girlfriends, your, whoever, your pastor, your therapist, whatever. But don't talk to some random guy that you just, joke around with at work. That's just a recipe for disaster in my mind.
Good points. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Vix, talk to me, man. What should we not be sharing? What's too far? What's too personal?
So for me, I pretty much outline my life in 5 assets: spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. Mm-hmm. So outside of sharing the gospel of the Lord, anything mentally, spiritually, physically, or emotionally that I don't feel comfortable sharing, like with my sister and my very two close women friends, like I'm not going to share with anyone outside of my partner. Like at the end of the day, when we speak about boundaries and communication, the quote in the US is like, the buck stops here. So meaning like everything outside of God, being the head, stops with my partner in terms of like deep intimacy. So again, spiritually, outside of that, mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially, I'm not sharing that with anybody.
Hearing you on that. Hearing that. Good points. Alex, talk to us. What's your thoughts? What's too personal? What's too intimate details to be sharing with somebody?
It's difficult because when relationships are relationships, they're complicated. They're not simple. But I think the big one is problems that you're having with your partner and issues, because that's the one that I think a lot of the time is what causes the issues. Because when, say, you're having an issue, you're having a rough patch, I don't know, as you were saying before, the gift situation, your partner's not getting you gifts, and then this guy, and then you're this other guy, maybe a Kojo from work, is getting them gifts. It's like, and this is the thing, like the girl, she might not say it to you. She'll come home with this attitude and be like, you're just pissing me off. Why aren't you closing the washing machine? Why aren't you doing this? And in your mind, you're going, what's with all that vim? Like, why are you saying that? What's that tone of voice? And as a guy, you would have no idea that this is what's running through her head. She wants you to buy her gifts and all this other stuff. About, I think just being, in terms of if they're too much, it's just about being honest, really. I mean, the more you can be honest with your partner, regardless of what it is, I think in general, the longer the relationship is going to last, and the more confidence you have in allowing your partner to do things that you might think are risky. Because the more and the important thing is to simplify yourself as well, because the more simple, the more you know yourself, and the more you're grounded on your own principles, the more you're willing to be able to draw lines on behavior and say what is right and what is wrong. Because it's when you don't know your own thoughts and your own things, you can be having a conversation and you're thinking, oh, that's good, that's all fine. You can talk about your exes with them at work, but if you know yourself and you know what you wouldn't have a conversation with and what you would want to keep confidential with your own partner, then the less likely you are to condone behavior or conversations or different just things in general that are risky and potentially detrimental. So yeah.
Appreciate it, Alex. Love for that. K Hood Bouget. Talk to me, baby.
So everybody's had good points. Basically it's the personal stuff. So for me, like, I'm single, but my next relationship, you live and learn. You learn through past mistakes. So I want to be that safe place. So as a woman or a man, you're supposed to be your partner's safe place. So one of my good friends, she always says, it's not my story to tell. So sometimes we telling people stories that it ain't our place to tell. Even if we're a couple, it's still not your place to tell. So I'm gonna go with Vicky when she said the finances. For example, you're opening that door. So a lot of women are making more money than men these days. So if I go to work and be like, well, I wish he'd get another job. And that goes back to what Alex said when you're complaining. Oh, I make, this amount more than him. So Alex ended up being like, we make about the same amount. So, let me get you a couple of dinners. So you just open the door. So when you're complaining about your spouse, you shouldn't even it's not your story to tell. Get a therapist. Talk to your pastor, because sometimes even this is a whole nother show. It's just basically like what you should be talking about with anybody. So it's not even just your work husband, because again, if you talk to certain girlfriends, they might not be your girlfriends for real and slide right in there with your boo because you over there complaining. So with the work husband, there's just certain things you should not be First of all, you shouldn't even have work husband. First of all, let's stop playing with that name. Let's nip that in the bud. I don't believe in work husband, work wife. You can be cool with somebody, but again, I think that's a gate opening for nonsense. But again, I'm just not telling his story. I'm his safe place. You protect your secrets. Because I had someone, a work wife of a husband, slid right in there. She tried to duplicate Kia. So, you're like, okay, she got hair like me. She trying to, do everything I did because he gave her all the ammunition. So he was no longer my safe place. So just be mindful what you say. Nothing personal, too personal.
I'm with you on that. With you on that. Emily, what's your thoughts? What's too personal? What's not too personal to share? What's too personal? What's too private? What's too intimate to share?
In terms of things that we say that are too personal, anything that has to do with, I would say, if you are really opening yourself up, like to what you think and how you feel about certain things. But for me, I would even go as far as like the time I spend with that person, like how much access I give myself to that person with that person, right? And what I entertain in my mind about them. So for me, it's the amount of time that I spend with them, how much of my personal self or like things on my mind that I share, and just the amount of time that I spend with them, like, and what kind of situations I allow myself to be in with them. Some people it doesn't really matter, but I think it's just good that uh, to have Alex said, you have to know yourself and know where your own boundaries are. Yeah, that's what I think.
Love that. Onu, your last say on this topic. What's too private? What's too personal? What's too much to share, baby?
Yeah, I guess I don't know how to answer this question. I kind of feel
Yeah, because you've been talking about period pads
I'm
and
moving
stuff.
that.
So
But anyway, but I mean, I've been hearing everyone has to say, and I kind of feel like when it comes to like work wife, work husband, is what do you want to get out of it, and are you going to make that person feel insignificant or less than what they are? So if you don't have that person's best interest at heart, then there's no reason to carry on that that type of relationship, because again, it can get tricky really really fast. And like I'm still understanding how I'm navigating these waters this time. I've been exposed to things, secrets, whatever. But again, like I'm not gonna be the one to put my friend out in the streets, and vice versa. And she's not gonna be the one to put my business out in the streets. We have that type of rapport. If you know you don't have the type of rapport, or if you know that hey, this is someone that I want to pursue, or the information she's sharing to me, I'm gonna use that for nefarious gains, then hey, I think you should step away from that type of situation before someone gets hurt, because two people are going to, I mean, two or more people can get hurt. But if you have a sound mind, and you want to have a sound relationship, and you feel like Sarah, you can share these details and stuff about yourself and vice versa. I don't know. I guess I'm not the person to tell you that you can.
Appreciate only appreciate. Light, if you want to add something real quick, you want to add something really really quick, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of give a bit of an advice, I guess, is that when you're finding, because I'm thinking about when I was, a young person and these things were happening in my life, and I was sort of allowing it and not understand what was happening. What I have come to understand is that someone else said it, you have to become self-aware, and you have to put a boundary in place for yourself. One of the things that I've done, I always talk, Gojo, about how I'm sort of a big sis to a lot of people. That actually originated for me out of relationships with guys that became really very close. Because I'm a person that, guys feel like they can confide in, because I'm a direct person, and I'm gonna speak directly to your behavior or what's going on in your life, and I'm going to not do that, hopefully with not too much judgment. So I had to sort of, when you have that sort of a need met, there is a line that can cross from that person. So I actually put in place, I started saying, that's my little brother, or, I'm going big sis vibe. I had to do that recently, having a conversation with someone and getting to know them in a professional environment. And we had a lot in common. And he started to think, oh, she's so cool. And I, sort of had to start to step in there, and I kind of let him know I'm, older than you, which is not a problem for me in general, but I started to, refer to us in that way. I'm got that big sis vibe for you. And I think everybody can find a place to have a really good friendship with people, but you have to put the boundary in place for yourself. Because as I'm listening to all of us, one of the things that I'm finding myself concerned about for us all is that in trying to be protective in this conversation and understand where those lines are, I wouldn't want to advise people to completely cut off somebody that you have a connection with, because they could become really lifelong friends if you know how to navigate around these difficult areas. Because you're going to have these difficult moments in a relationship between men and women, regardless if you're single or they're single or you're both married or whatever. You're always going to have these situations. And it comes with time and maturity. And I don't mean to sound condescending when I say that, but because I had to learn, you can start to define for yourself through your experiences how to navigate so that you don't just cut people off, so that you can garner the friendship and the knowledge and the divine appointments from these relationships. You can actually have those relationships. You just have to learn how to navigate and understand where you choose to put your boundary to keep yourself safe and to keep them safe as well.
Appreciate that, Light. Appreciate that. Good advice. Good advice. Good advice, guys. We have reached the 3 hour mark. I do apologize. It was actually went slightly over time, but it's been good. It's been good to be back on the Deep Dive Fridays, man. Do you know what I'm saying? It's good to have you guys on. You know what I'm saying? Y'all even came with the cameras today. Like, I appreciate that, man. Do you know what I mean? You know what? Our next session that we're gonna have, I had a few ideas jumbling up, but you know what I want to talk about? I really want the men to talk about this one. I want us to break down the game of the jailbreaking. I think it's about time we start giving away them secrets, okay, to how we get to there. Look, Laughable look at me like he don't want to share this information, boy. He said his whole face, he tells the camera, he said he's not involved. Listen, I think it's time that the ladies found out what the dark arts are, man. You need to know what the dark arts are. You need to watch out for this. You know what I'm saying? Since we are talking about The Office, I think Bodge touched on it really, really well. There's things that we do, even in the office, when we're single, we know what to do to put chinks in the armor. You know what I mean? So we'll do a video on that. The next session will be on that. I think, what's next week? Next week's 26th. I am not here for the 26th. 25th, I'm not here. And I'm not here in a second. I think our next session's on the 9th, because I'm not here on the 25th and the 2nd. I'm away, guys. So yeah, the next session is going to be on the 9th of July. I will have a good session. The mandem, we're going to collect the mandem for you, and we're going to have a real good conversation. Ladies, get your girls. That Friday is going to be expensive. You know why? We're going to be shelling out the truths. You wanted to know what the mandem do? We're going to give you a little taster. Not all of them, but we're going to give you a little taster of what the mandem what games they play to make it happen. You feel me? All right. So, guys, thank you so much for joining the conversation. It's been amazing. Deep Dive Friday has come to an end. We will see you on the 9th of July for another riveting conversation once again. Stay locked, stay hot, stay hydrated. You understand? Because the streets